Okay. Should I just sign it now?
No, we have to be done.
Okay.
But you are in a precarious spot. You're gonna have to get down.
Am I too tall?
No. For wall signing, you're gonna have to get down and push up position.
Okay.
Okay, so episode 41, Badass Records podcast, and we have the other half of the first married couple joining us, Tara Davis. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad you made it the other half because I do very much feel as a partnership. So happy to.
You and your spouse?
Yes.
That's a good thing, I would think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you guys have been together how long now?
10 years. Well, married.
Married 10.
Yeah.
And you didn't date that long.
Like a year and a half or
Year
two.
and a half.
Yeah.
And what was the how did the proposal go down? Was it a surprise or?
I planned it all.
This
it was
is a shocking
surprise,
development.
But I planned it.
Okay.
At the time, I was doing an internship in Illinois, and so I only saw Kyle a few times that summer.
Okay.
And it was his birthday, and I was coming back for his birthday, so I planned a huge dinner for him. Got all of our family together, our favorite spot, reserved a room and everything. So he just brought the ring.
Which did you know what it was going to look like?
We were very serious, so we had definitely exchanged ring looks before, and I did find this one. I wanted a vintage ring.
I just realized one thing. So you planned everything, but he showed up with the ring and
well, so he did do a few things. So the place was actually where I worked during school. So I was a server, which is another funny story, but I was a server at a fine dining, the finest dining there was in Manhattan, Kansas, you know? And so, they always set out a prefixed menu, and as a server, you have to have everything memorized so you can give your spiel
right
for the diners. And anyway, we sat down, and my manager, Griff, at the time, was the person in charge of our party. And so he came in. No, it wasn't Griff. Sorry, it was another guy. He came in. He handed out all of the prefix menus and was going through it. And he was really shaky and nervous. And I don't look at it because I get the same thing every time I go there. I have my order. So I'm just okay, why are you being so weird?
But you noticed this was happening for him?
I just noticed he was weird, going through the prefix because I'm not looking at the menu. I'm looking at the server.
Sure.
And you could tell he's just look at your fucking menu, Tara. What are you doing? And on the menu was all my favorite things. And then at the end it said, "Will you marry me?" But Kyle had to sign it because he wanted to make sure that I didn't think it was the server proposal. I mean, obviously I didn't think that, but... So then I'm I finally looked down. I'm what? And then Kyle's on his knees, and it was oh, this is great. And my whole family was there. And of course, Caitlin was late. My sister, Caitlin.
You don't say.
Yeah. So she missed the whole thing.
She missed the moment.
She missed the proposal.
She didn't miss the whole
celebration. She came later, and I'm hey, I'm engaged.
But she knew, right?
No, I don't think she knew. I don't think Kyle told anybody.
Okay.
I think everyone thought it was for his birthday, except my parents and his parents.
Planned how you would like things to be / look, but you didn't know it was going to happen right then and there, or?
No, this was just supposed to be his birthday party. So I wasn't prepared for it to be.
Okay, so there was a surprise element.
Yes, there was. It was kind of just supposed to be family together because I was gone all summer.
Right.
And, it was a surprise to me and to all the people besides our parents. So he asked my parents. And
are there pictures from this evening?
Yeah, I'll find them for you.
I want to see them sometime.
It was funny because it took a while to register, and I went through the motions and hugged everybody, and we sat by each other, and I was yay. And then somebody brought out champagne to celebrate, and I don't know what it was about the champagne, but when I saw that, and then just tears just started rolling down my face.
Oh my.
I was oh my God, did that just happen?
You guys are making my makeup mess up.
No. I didn't even wear waterproof makeup to our wedding.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
going down the aisle with just black running down my
Is that a
face.
thing that exists and works? Waterproof makeup?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm never prepared that way, though.
I see.
Yeah.
So I think it was in Kyle's episode that I learned for the first time, not the first time, but felt like that you are from Illinois.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that I knew that, but had forgotten it.
Yeah.
It's just all kind of Western Kansas, and then there's a Green Bay Packers piece to it. But
Yeah.
so did your parents meet there?
Yeah. So both my parents are from Sterling, Illinois.
Okay.
My grandparents growing up my whole life lived a mile apart from each other. So anytime we go see family, we see everybody. I've never had
Both
to deal...
sets of grandparents.
Yeah, I've
Wow.
never had to deal with this Christmas we're going here and then we'll travel over here for the other. It's always been right there. And the funny thing is, my mom's parents bought land on my great grandpa's old farm that they split up into, different plots. So my grandma Sproul lived on Farley Road. So
Wow.
yeah. So my mom was classmates with my dad's younger siblings.
Okay.
And was friends with his whole family. I wouldn't say that my grandparents from each side were like friends with each other,
Right.
but we would all be together at certain points and they could manage each other, but they weren't like hanging out without
Your
the
mom was
family.
classmates with your dad's younger siblings.
My dad's a family of 6 siblings, so
Okay.
he had 3 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters.
Okay. So was there any of this? Hey, that's my sister, man. That's, that from his younger sibling. Let's see. Your mom classmates with your dad's younger siblings. So was there any of that, like, where
Like they would date each other
Yeah,
or something?
well, just like from your dad's asking out a younger sibling's friend, or
I feel like they're like 4 years apart, so it was big enough of a spread that in high school they were never really
sure.
like on the same level.
Gotcha.
But it was when my mom was in college and my dad would come back.
Okay.
Then he knew of my mom.
Sure.
And slowly won her over. She was like a sorority girl and he was just like a cattleman. And my mom would tell stories of like he would show up to her sorority house with a trailer of cattle and park in front. Like he was like going to drop cattle at a pasture and he would just swing by and pull up and it's like, Lori, John's outside with all his cows. He would just stop and say hi. He was never obviously like leaving the cows in the
Sure.
thing.
That's
but
cute though.
yeah, so I think it was kind of hard to win mom over because she was in she was just like in her prime moment and there was just this guy who already had a job and was kind of like making his life and
Sure.
just dealing with cattle, and
Yeah.
my mom's, going to sorority and, studying business and all those things. And so it was kind of like she turned him down a few times before they became a thing.
So how long did they date before they were engaged?
Maybe like under 2 years.
Okay.
I think it was still pretty quick.
And then does it go, I know I've asked you this before, but I can't remember. Does it go Celeste, you, Caitlin, Lacey?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was fairly certain that, but also I thought that I had remembered one time where I asked that and you said that you were the oldest. Or maybe you were like, sometimes it feels like I'm the oldest.
No, I'm definitely not an older child.
Well, I mean, in
personality.
terms of like, or, getting everybody on the same page or being in charge of planning and.
I do plan a lot. I will say I've been so overwhelmed lately that I've kind of just been a really bad sibling, a bad friend. I haven't been at my peak because I'm just really overwhelmed.
I mean,
But-
you have a lot going on, so.
But I'd say, a few years back, if you look back when things were a little slower or I didn't have so many moving pieces, I was always the planner of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And now I can make something happen pretty quickly. Like
Sure.
late notice and I can focus on that. But long term, someone's like, give me your details of this weekend. I'm like, leave me alone. I'll just show up where I show up. I can't figure it out right now.
Yeah, I catch some warranted, some maybe not, a lot of heat from my siblings and other family members. And just this past Saturday, we had already been to Swope for soccer, and we're sitting at center middle for flag football. And one of my siblings was sitting next to me, and a dad came up and was like, okay, so, and Adeline wasn't there because soccer, and then got her to Sean and Susan so she could go watch volleyball. And then a dad approached and was like, so you can take my kid to the pizza party. And then there was all the, and my finished this conversation. My sister's like, who is that? I was like, oh, it's so-and-so. And she was like, I can't keep all of the moving pieces that you have for today straight. I was like, I know.
Yeah.
And she's like, how do you? And I was like, I don't really. It's all just
It's
fumbling.
Just like, oh, the day finished.
Yeah.
We survived.
Not too far from. Did you watch Sesame Street growing up?
No. We lived in the country and didn't have any TV.
And really so you've really never watched any?
Maybe I know of the characters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a weird thing as a kid. It's an hour long, and there's this mix of scenes with just puppets, and then scenes with humans and puppets, and then scenes with just humans, and then there's animated stuff, and it all ties together with the letter of the day and the number of the day, and there's a lot of messages in there about being like a good person, and or maybe you learn about a profession, and then there'd be some just random things, and one of the most, but as a kid you want all puppet. That's, or the animated.
Yeah, it's like, what's this human
forget
doing
the human. Don't give me a message.
Who's this celebrity? I don't care.
But there's a recurring. It's one of my fondest to think back on. But there was a professional chef or a pastry chef, and the only thing that this chef would do would come out of a set of doors with 12. Lemon meringue, raspberry turnover, whatever it's always a different dessert. Carrying all of them, he would come through and hit the top of the steps and announce what the dessert was, and then attempt to go down this set of 5 or 6 stairs, carrying all of them. Never once does he falls every time, and it makes a big mess. But that's kind of how I feel. It's like everything has gone into getting these lemon blueberry turnovers ready, and then you fall down the stairs and you spill it. It's kind of parenting.
Yeah. 100%.
So what's so were all 4 of you born in Sterling?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry. We weren't. So I'm from Monmouth, which is 2 hours away. But it's pretty close to Sterling, and every time we go back to see family, we'd go to Sterling. So we have no ties to Monmouth. That's just where my dad was working at the time.
Okay.
When we had this little little farmhouse, 10 acres or something with some cattle on it.
Okay.
And it was a nice little.
But all 4 of you. Okay.
And it was basically a scenario of. My mom just locked us out of the house every day. I can't handle you guys. There's the hose. Here's some apples. Go find something to do. I don't have time for this.
And so did you or Celeste get married first?
I did.
You did, and then Celeste, and then Lacey, and then Caitlin is coming up.
Yeah, in January.
In January. Oh, yeah. Where are they going?
Jamaica. I literally was having nightmares about it last night.
I just felt a flutter of anxiety, and I'm not.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. Our last deadline to book the trip was last week, and I booked it on the last day. I'm like, oh shit, gotta come up with this money somehow. Okay, we're going to Jamaica. I just had this nightmare that, it's not a nightmare, but it was a lot of anxiety buildup. that we're all in line to be the bridesmaids, like ready to go down the aisle, and everyone's in their bridesmaid's dress. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to order my dress. So I woke up and I put in my calendar, order dress tomorrow.
And a couple more pairs of dupes. I just learned what dupes were at your house over the weekend.
Yeah, your daughter's more fashionable than me.
So, I mean, who's going from your? Are you guys from your household? Is it just the two of you, or are you taking the kids? Or?
We really wanted to take the kids, but we weren't sure on like how much extra the kids would cost, and then also just
not
like,
free. I can tell you that much.
Right. We also never go on vacation, so the thought of, oh, I'm gonna go to Jamaica and have to go to bed early with my 2-year-old. No thanks.
So, Kathy and Greg?
Yeah, they're going to watch them.
And
we just went through this dilemma because they're actually invited.
That was where I was going.
And I feel so bad. I mean, I think they were getting ready to commit to going. And I'm pretty sure I'd found a sitter willing and capable to stay with the kids for that
Really?
long. But it was going to cost like $1,500.
Yeah. Because how long will you be?
Like 5 days, 6 days, 5 nights,
okay.
And it's like taking 3 kids to different schools and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, then I had this anxiety where what if a crazy tragedy happened to the island of Jamaica and my whole family plus Kathy and Greg are there and my children are left in the United States? The only closest relative lives in Denver, Colorado.
Kyle's sister.
Who, I'm sure
brand new mom, right?
Could handle whatever. But it's like, I'm just gonna be selfish in this moment because that's too scary to think about, and I need somebody close enough to be able to handle my kids.
So I mean, they. I mean, it's easier for them because they're geographically closer than your folks, but they, pitch in.
Oh, they're very present.
Some consistency, and
yes.
So when you're whatever it looks like when you're trying to get everything for one thing or a bunch of things organized, who reaches out? Do you?
I do.
Really?
Yeah. I do the most. There are some times when I'm just like, Kyle, I can't handle things. I just need you to take it over. But for the most part,
with them specifically, with Kathy and Greg, you.
Yeah, I mean, there's just sometimes when it's like,
yeah,
I don't want them to watch this question. But sometimes it can just be overwhelming. They're very persistent on what's the plan. And sometimes I just don't know the plan, and I just need a break from being asked because everybody needs me. That's one thing that has changed in my life in the last year is being needed so much, and I just have very limited
everywhere you
give.
turn.
So
I mean, there's not a place where you can turn and you're not.
Well, I told Kyle I feel like I'm going through a recovery period or something where I just need a little grace. I'm just not on my A game. I'm spread so thin. I'm just trying to do whatever I need to do to get by so once in a while I'm just like, Kyle, please handle this.
Right.
I can't.
I
mean, I love them to death. They're only trying to help, but it's just sometimes I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Yeah. I'm just like winging it. So.
And so do you think were they? I mean, of course they're always going to be willing to help, but I mean, in terms of like now that means not going. I mean, are they? Do you think?
I don't think they're mad about it. I mean, I think that. I think they were just like, oh my gosh, that's so kind of you to invite, because they had a limited amount of people they could invite. And they were the only in-laws, like, of the family that were invited.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Kathy and Greg are like, they just went on that, like, 3-week trip to Africa with my parents.
Right.
It is, like, honestly, the most... I don't even have words to express how grateful Kyle and I are that our parents are friends.
Yeah.
Like, we literally invite both sets of family to Christmas together.
Right.
To Thanksgiving. Or if it's my parents' turn for Christmas, they'll invite Kathy and Greg to
Nice.
come. You know, so it's a really wonderful relationship.
And
I think everyone would have been really happy for them to come. And it was
Right.
kind of a selfish move on my end. But also, Kathy and Greg, they are both retired, so they specifically plan out their vacation times. And they even admitted we wouldn't just go to Jamaica for the wedding. We would extend it to like a big vacation. And the stipulations with like the resort and the wedding venue and all the dollars that go into the wedding events, the resort wasn't being very good at like working with their different itinerary and travel plans that they wanted to extend on it, because it's all like priced out separate, like different for a wedding package.
Yeah.
So they were kind of on the fence anyway.
Huh.
And when we shared that little, I feel weird not having anybody there for our kids. Like, who would we call? I'd put your name down.
Right.
Call Blair.
Right.
Blair will take my kids.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, gosh, the level of gratitude for that to be.
God.
I imagine it sort of shakes down into at Christmas. You know, if you are gonna hit Manhattan and then Topeka on your way home, or vice versa, like everybody's probably pretty chill with.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I feel like Kathy and my mom text, "What's the plan this year? Who's gonna do what?" And you know, Kyle's family only has to really work around one other person, Michelle,
Right,
and what her things are. So it's
and
a
they
little
just
easier.
had their first or
They
second.
had two. They had two under 2 years, I think.
Okay.
So it's great. I mean, now that they're both like Winnie's age, it's crazy. I could not imagine.
I mean, especially for you know, the first kid. It's like this whole thing, like completely foreign and new, and no matter how prepared, you're always a little kind of winging it. And then things are different, no matter the age spread.
Right.
Things are different for a kid too. But then to have them, you know, close, it's got to be. I mean, their worlds have probably been turned upside down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would change anything. I don't know if it was planned or not. I know they're really happy and their family is just like so adorable. I used to think, oh, when I have kids, I'm just going to do it all at once. Just get it out of the way. And my kids are so spread out.
I mean, you really only have a gap between one and
like
two.
10 years.
Well, okay. Yeah, but I mean, if you go 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, 1 to 2 is the
5 years and 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
It's
I feel like 3 years is kind of a big spread between 2 and 3. Usually, maybe the biggest spread is between 1 and 2, and then you kind of go every other year.
so there's absolutely zero question that was it for you guys.
I used to always want 4. Financially rough. We're really feeling the burden of our third right now. You know, it's just been
Can you pinpoint anything?
No, I think just like everything has hit the bank the last year, and we're just like, Jesus
It's
Christ.
not the extra food or the diapers. It's just life.
Yeah, it's just all adding up, and it's fine. You know, we did it because we didn't want another 5-year gap, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've heard like 10 years between your first and your last is kind of like they're just on different paths of life and they'll never really cross. And obviously things can be very different, but we wanted Ivy and our last to be somewhat connected,
Sure.
not just living two different lives. So,
I mean, episode 33 was a buddy's older brother who we moved to PV in like 86 and I made friends with him pretty quickly, but like a chunk of time went by. And one day I was like, wait, you have a brother? And 10 years older. And it's just the two of them. So like we met in 6th grade and he was already gone. I mean, it's just bananas to think about.
I have 2 friends and they're 15 years different from their older siblings.
Wow.
And I don't know anything about them, you know.
I
mean, I know if they're like they said, oh, this is my sister, but if I see them in a grocery store, I probably wouldn't know. I mean,
Right.
they've moved on. So it was pretty ridiculous, but it's like, okay, we hired our first employee for Cicada. Oh, okay, I'm just going to have a baby now because I have some help.
Real quick. Just real quick. So what is the split between Celeste and Caitlin?
Well, me and Celeste is 3 years. So
Okay.
then it would be 4.5 for Celeste and Caitlin. And then Celeste and Lacey, I think, is like, what's the math there? 7 years?
Wait. Caitlin's not the youngest?
No,
Lacey's
is.
Did I say it right the first time?
No, you said what's the difference between Celeste and Caitlin?
No. Okay.
Celeste
but
and
it
Lacey.
goes
Got it.
Celeste, Tara,
Caitlin,
Lacey.
Yeah.
Okay. So the split between Celeste and Lacey.
What is that? I'm so bad. It's like 7 years.
7 years.
7
okay.
or 8 years. Yeah.
So I mean, there's
It's 8. It's
8. I mean, so
Ivy and Winnie are 9.
okay.
Wow. Is it?
No,
it's 8.
7. No,
It's 8.
it's 8. Okay.
It's 8 years. So I feel like Ivy is still interested in Winnie.
Yes,
They'll
yes.
have a relationship.
Yeah.
They'll be together when Winnie's old enough before Ivy's out of the house.
Right.
So
Well, for me, it's hard to not leap there and think about Winnie being 10 and Ivy being like a freshman in college or whatever is whatever you're supposed to do. But there's a lot of time between now and then, so a lot of really good bonding I think can happen. And so are all of you individually close with one another?
my sisters?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
they're like my best friends.
right, for you, but I mean, would all 3 of your sisters turn around and say the same?
I'm
probably.
closest. I think so. I'm closest with Lacey, who's my youngest
Right.
sister. So me and her are 5 years apart. And I would say that, yes, I mean, we have like a sister text. And whenever we get together, it's just constant crying, like laughter.
Nice.
So it's great.
Well, I don't know. Not that I expected it to look any different, but I'm always, a year or so ago, there were a lot of really, really cool, cute videos with Ivy and Alma, being goofy, playing wrestling, whatever. The running over to the wall,
Yeah.
and playing in the family, but it seems like they're both, it just seems like the 3 of them have some kind of harmony.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that I've ever seen them like actually bicker.
No, I mean, you can definitely tell.
I mean, it's
like,
coming.
yeah.
Like
Oh, it's here. I mean, maybe they're just polite when you're around.
could be. I mean, but when you get into, clothes and stuff, teenage years and...
Well, you guys brought us a bag of Adeline's clothes. So we're so thankful because she's so stylish and so designer, drops off this bag of hand-me-downs. And Alma is just like, those are mine. Those are mine. They're not even Ivy's. She did not even consider that Adeline gave them to Ivy. And all she has worn this week is Adeline's dresses.
Oh, for real?
For real.
I thought that because it was sort of happening over here.
Saw her walk to school.
No. When they were here, it was off to the side happening, and then there was just a pile at the top of the stairs. And then by the time we were next door, I thought I heard somebody say that like Ivy had laid claim. Maybe I misheard, but that's funny.
Well, I think that it's also just like my kids are a little thicker than your kids do. So Ivy's probably, she tried one on too. And she's just like, I mean, they've got some booties and some thick thighs. And so it's just probably right on the edge for Ivy.
Yeah.
And if any fit her, they're like going to be for a few months.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
And Alma is also a very thick woman and I love it so much. But she, we were fighting with her on Monday morning because all she wanted to do is wear one of those dresses and it's like a 6'7" or whatever. We're like, Alma, you are a 5T. And we just moved her up to 5T from 4T. because she's just got that booty and those leggings aren't fitting her as good. And I was like, whatever, let me just try it on you. And it freaking fit her. It was maybe just like longer than its intention, but it's not like it was sagging on her.
Right.
So Alma just loved it. She's like, I could wear Adeline's clothes. I told you, Mom, I knew it would fit me. And I'm like, she is such a fashionista.
I must have looked at her. She had like pigtails with red ribbons in them, I think, on Sunday. And it was like, you could just such attention to detail to get the hair the way that it was. And I know like a ton of that is coming from you or maybe.
No, I mean, she tells me exactly what to execute. Alma will not let me dress her. I can't give an opinion. If she asks for my help, she'll listen to me and then just say, thanks, Mom, and then do completely something else. She tells me how she wants her hair every single day.
Okay.
She does not want me to give her anything. She's just like, okay, I'm ready for my hair. Can I have pigtails? I need 2 bows. I need some blue stripes in my hair. I'm like, you got it.
Wow.
So,
I mean, if that's not a sign of how...
And she's been doing that for, like, since she was 3. I have to tell her school teachers, I'm like, Alma won't let me dress her, so don't judge me.
Right.
I cannot, like, put her in trendy clothes. I can't do anything.
So how do you, in your mind, how does that project for 16, 17?
I mean, one, I love it because she's fully independent. She's been dressing herself probably for the last 2 years. Like, I don't have to get her ready at all.
Wow.
And in the morning, she wakes up. She does not like lounge clothes. She wakes up and gets dressed and gets ready for the day. And without me saying a single thing, she's like, Mom, I'm ready for my hair. Because she can't, like, brush the back of her hair very well. And I'm like, okay, what do you want?
Well, it's a weird thing. I mean, because not that Ivy lacked for any, but every time I look at her, it's like, I feel like a person came in and like got her ready for a shoot.
Yeah.
Like her hair was immaculate on Sunday, and it's not like she doesn't do a bunch of playing and moving around and. Well, so you go, oh, that's got to be 100% Mom or whatever.
Yeah.
But I know it's not. I know it's not 100%. But anyway.
No, she tells me what to do. It's nice because their hair is all curly, and so I can manipulate it. So it's really cute. Like just wetting it and like twisting it with my finger made those perfect little ringlets.
Oh wow.
But I kid you not, there was a time where I'm like, Alma, you don't need a purse today. Like, what are you doing? And she goes, Mom, I'm trying to be fashionable. And I was just
Where does that come from?
I don't know. Because it's not like I have, like, really pushed that. I feel like I finally have gotten back into my groove. Working from home for so many years, it was just like sweatpants, hair in a bun. I never am seeing anybody, or I'll change for a meeting because we worked from home.
Sure.
And then it was COVID, and it's like, fuck that, I'm wearing sweatpants, I don't care. And now I go to an office every day, and now I'm trying to convince a lot of people to spend a lot of money. So I have to present myself, to a point where someone wants to listen to me. So I'm only just getting to this point, but Alma was at this point before I was even at this point. I have no idea where it came from. It's not like she watches a bunch of stuff about it. Now she does, but when it started, I have no idea.
It's a lot of, I mean, you definitely have solid fashion sense and style. I never hear, obviously, the inner monologue or the planning, or I never hear conversations about, leading up to the event that's going to have an outfit or whatever. I just see the end product all the time, whether it's a Christmas card or a photo thing or whatever it is. And it's always like, wow, so maybe she hasn't needed to hear it or learn it. She just can identify it because
that's a good point.
But you love it. You love the idea of teenage Alma being like,
I mean, there's just like,
even if it's like this whole notion, I don't know how much this is a reality for girls, but like one wear for an outfit, and then I can't wear that again.
We can't afford that.
Well, I mean,
she's gonna have to deal with getting creative.
Okay.
No, I like being unafraid to show your true self is how I grew up.
Cool.
And I was always pushing the limits and wearing crazy things. And I would look at fashion magazines or, I remember one point I found like an old button-up shirt and I sewed it to turn it backwards and like make a shirt out of it where it buttoned up the back. I was always really into that kind of stuff. And I mean, I can't even believe I want to say this, but there was a small portion of my life when it was like I was on the edge of, do I go to college or do I pursue like modeling, that kind of thing?
What's wrong
I'm
with...
just very tall and,
Isn't that a sought after height? Isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there was a point where I needed to make that decision. So I've always had a real big interest.
But what's with can't believe I'm going to say this?
Because it was so amateur. It's not even worth mentioning.
You're being silly.
But I love that she has just found something that she just doesn't care what anybody says. No one can persuade her. She makes her own outfits. There's intention to it. And I catch her looking at herself in our only full-length mirror, just making sure she's okay. And she's just totally learned that on her own.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love how much of a problem she can be. And honestly, now I understand why my parents loved Caitlin so much, because Caitlin was always a trouble child. And I'm like, Mom, I'm literally following the Bible. I do everything that you ask of me. I've never challenged you once in my life. Why is Caitlin your favorite child? And I'm not saying I have a favorite child. I'm just saying, I love how Alma is I don't give a shit what anybody says. I'm doing me. And I think that's very cool.
If your mom was put on the spot and forced to answer that question, what would she have said?
I don't know. They've always just given Caitlin so many fucking chances in life, and she could, no matter how wrong she was, it was annoying at how perfect. Me and Lacey were always just we will follow your rules and do everything you ask of us. And yet, Caitlin just always was their favorite,
Wow.
So, I get it now. You just get someone willing to be who they are.
Sure. It's a weird thing to we've talked, not recently, but some time ago, I told you at least once, probably more, how, I mean, for a chunk of when you guys were first living here, Ivy was so shy.
Yeah.
And not a lot of eye contact and the lowest possible setting for volume and sort of this timidness to communicate. And eventually, I think she grew up a little bit and she got comfortable and familiar. And so, now she'll if I throw her some sass, she'll throw it back at me. And then Alma comes along and it's I had, a couple of moments holding her and I can make her giggle. I think she feels comfortable being over here playing with the kids. But your baby, I am who are you? I cannot figure her out to save my life.
Yeah.
But I think after half a dozen or so attempts, I think I got a quarter of a smile out of her.
She's tough. I mean, honestly, I've brought her into the office multiple times. And just the other day, Marcy, who's been working for us, I think, is longer than Winnie's been alive.
Right.
And Marcy's she smiled at me for the first time. And this is last week.
Wow.
She is tough. She has this eyebrow game.
I know it.
She'll just look at you and and she's been straight faced. I mean, for the first year, she just was kind of go with the flow, never cried, never mad, never happy. I mean, she would smile at me and Kyle and the kids, but anytime she was around people, she was just kind of observing. And she's slowly gaining an attitude and slowly gaining personality. And now she's just turning into a toddler. And I think it's just about to hit.
Well, I mean, obviously she was tiny and I got to hold her a time or two when she was brand new. But I feel there was a window where she was just expressionless.
Yeah.
Every time I would see her.
Yeah.
And now that she finally has an expression, it's
Yeah,
You know, like,
his eyebrows.
I'll fuck you up, dude. And I'm like, all right.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, she obviously, it's not ever been like of a concern,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right.
because we see her happy
Yeah.
at home. But, you know, I'll take the attitude now, because when she was just straight faced and I'll do whatever needs to be done in this moment, I'm like, thank you, Lord Jesus Christ, you gave me an easy child, because my life has been really wild. I mean, you know, having the employees and everything at work, it's been a lot to like figure out. So, and then to have a baby on top of that. So it was kind of easy. It was an easier situation. The fact that my baby would just eat when I told her to eat, sleep when I told her to sleep, go where we needed to go, never threw a fit. Give me all that attitude now.
Yeah, because you got through the...
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, she's definitely showing her personality now, and she is becoming a screaming toddler.
Oh, really?
You know, and maybe I'm only exaggerating it because it was so mild.
Right.
That now we hear a scream from her, we're like, where the hell did this come from? We're like, you screamed for 1 minute. Oh my God.
Right. So did your folks put on music when you guys were little? What do you have any memories?
I mean, it was mostly like country.
Sure.
Garth Brooks was huge for us. We listened to just like, I mean, country for the most part.
Sure.
We didn't have TV and all that, so we just had a couple records growing up, and then when we moved to Kansas, you know, got the satellite radio, so we could have a little bit more variety. But yeah, I mean, Kenny G and that kind of stuff was big, but for the most part, like Garth Brooks was my whole life.
Really? So have you seen him live?
I have, yeah.
More than once?
No, I only went once.
Okay.
I can't remember if we did something when I was younger, and early in his career, but the only concert I can remember going to was when he came to Kansas City, and he said it was his last tour, and then he did like 7 runs in Kansas City at the Sprint Center.
Yes, yeah, that wasn't.
And I went to
not that long ago.
I was in college.
So
okay.
Like
2007.
Okay. That wasn't the last time he was here, though, right?
He just said it and sold a bunch of fucking things.
Right, yeah.
But I went to his last one because it was like, oh, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do another one. And every day he would announce it. Then he's like, 7 is my last one. And Celeste was in college with me at the time. She goes, Tara, you want to go? So we bought tickets last minute.
Were you guys both at K-State?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yep, she was always a senior when I was a freshman.
Sure.
So we spent she did 5 years at college.
Okay.
So we spent 2 years together. And we were still in very different stages of life, but we did get to experience a few things, and that was fun for a last minute.
What about Lacey and Caitlin? Where did they go? Or did they go?
Caitlin went to we all went to K-State.
Oh, wow.
I know. And so I got to spend I joined sorority because of Celeste. I didn't know what the hell a sorority was. I went to like the first week, and they're saying all these different alpha, beta, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what is this? I have no idea. Like, let's just go with the flow.
Right.
I had no clue what the house's, like, stigmas were and all these different things. But Celeste was in a sorority, and she loved it. So I'm going to go.
Okay.
And I just rushed where she went.
Sure.
You know. And then I had the opportunity to just move into the sorority house. So I skipped dorms and I went straight to the sorority house.
As a freshman?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
like
so,
before the semester started, this is where I live. I live in the house.
Like the weekend before school started, I moved in.
Okay.
And so I lived 1 year in the sorority house with Celeste.
Oh, fun.
So that was nice because we got to connect a little bit more.
So the Garth Brooks show was...
I think it was in 2007.
But was it amazing?
Oh my God. And you know, in the Sprint Center or T-Mobile Center, usually they cut off the back.
Yeah.
It was all around.
Well,
I mean, my tickets were in the back looking at his back, and that was the 7th day. So it was crazy.
Yeah.
But my dad did a lot of driving. I mean, he's in the cattle industry, so it's just driving from... We would go on 8-hour drives. And my mom would be so sick of us at home. She'd be like, John, take 2 of the kids. And we would just sit in his truck and drive with him all day long. And so we just had Garth Brooks on, and I had a couple of my favorite songs. And
so your folks like him too?
Oh, yeah.
And have they seen him?
I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
He is something. I mean, every single person I've ever heard that has attended a show just can't say enough.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think you can download his music. I've looked up, I've been like, I want freaking Garth Brooks on my Apple Music. I don't think he's on Apple Music.
Interesting.
I don't
Do you
know
have to
what
go
it is.
through his site to get stuff? Or?
Yeah, I don't think he's selling it. I could be wrong, but I know I've tried many times.
Well, I don't bring this up to be negative or condescending or anything, but Tom Segura and Christina P., husband and wife, stand-up comics, they have a podcast network. I mean, they have a bunch of shows under there, but theirs is called Your Mom's House. And they've been doing it, I don't know, 8 years or something. They have a lot of episodes, and it's really hilarious.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy, silly YouTube clips that either they find or they get sent to them. She is she curates TikToks, so at the end of the segment they'll run through, and she has made a concerted effort to really just guide the algorithm to the weird and the bizarre. And so it's what I somebody that spends some time on there myself, anytime I'm swiping and watching, if somebody that looks like super bananas, they've just had a rough go of life, and then they start talking, and also whatever they're saying is not making any sense, and then I'll look at the side and see, oh, there's 0 likes, 0 comment, and it's and a lot of times it's a person that thinks that they're recording this video as a direct message to you, but then they put it out on TikTok and it's visible for the whole world. So she has a lot of weird, but anyway, they have played a lot of Garth Brooks clips, and not footage, not just where he'll record a little thing about, hey, a stadium tour is coming up, or they've got a message to share, or an ask of the fan base, and his social stuff is the way he speaks, the way he acts, and in those moments is always just a little off.
I'll just clarify. I was like 90s Garth Brooks.
Sure.
I don't follow him. I don't know anything about him
right
now.
But so a few examples, there's one, they're rolling and they're about to start whatever the message is. And so he's facing the camera, and somebody opens the door and comes into the room and interrupt, and he looks at them I wouldn't be surprised if that person's no longer alive. I mean, or if he's there, Mrs. Yearwood, he always refers to her as Mrs. Yearwood.
Yeah.
There's so many. So anyway,
yeah.
Their thing, Your Mom's House is very successful, not on a Garth level, but in the podcasting, they've got a ton of fans. So for a very long time now, if you go to any of Garth's social media pages, the comments are just littered, and I mean littered with Your Mom's House fans saying things that they have said on the most common one is, "Where are the bodies, Garth?" Families need closure. So, or that's the biggest. But if you just think of it at some point and you go to his Instagram, or just choose a post and start scrolling, and it's literally hundreds, if not thousands of people and they're all just being silly.
Just trolls.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
So it's a funny dichotomy to like observe that, and then literally 100% of the people that I've ever talked to about his shows are like, I can't even describe it. It was the best thing ever. And I mean, the last time he was here, I feel like he did something crazy.
I think he just did the Chiefs Stadium.
Well, I'm
Like
sorry. So the last time I remember him being, you're right. But the last time I remember him doing T-Mobile or Sprint Center, it was like 7 shows or something. And I was like, what? And people, like, there are a couple people that I talked to were like, you know, like getting tickets wasn't easy. And I'm like, what? There's 18,000 times 7. Like, holy shit, man. That's freaking bananas.
Yeah.
But so did either of you, the 4 of you, eventually reach a point where you were like seeking out your own music or buying CDs or not just listening to whatever was on?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like growing up, and it's so crazy when I think of when we lived in Illinois, it's such a different time period from my younger sisters. You know, Lacey had such a different experience there than Lacey's life was in Kansas. I know when, like, what I experienced in Illinois and what I experienced in Kansas. And Illinois was just the Garth Brooks time. It was the 90s. We moved in 99. So I lived there for 11 years. So 90s country and driving to cattle farms and stuff with my dad. That was just our thing. And then I feel like our shift to Kansas, okay, we lived in a town. You know, I lived in the country with no one around me.
Right.
Went to a little Catholic school. And then I moved to a town of 3,000 and I felt like I was in the big city. and then it was just like, okay, my dad had a different job. He was very busy. And so there wasn't as much of that, you know, connection. I'm still close with my dad.
Yeah.
But, you know, it just changed. And I was always just like pop music.
Okay.
MTV was a big thing.
Sure.
I loved TRL and all that kind of stuff. And
Carson Daly.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, you know, I love dancing and I just love the good, you know.
So did
groove.
would you just like consume via the radio and MTV, or did you buy stuff?
I bought some.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. You know, I'm pretty sure like Britney Spears came out in '99.
Yeah.
Okay, I could be wrong, but I would like to look this up. I'm pretty sure she did tours at state fairs in '99. I swear to God, she went to Hutchinson, Kansas when we went to the state fair.
Really?
And she was like an opener for somebody. So I'm pretty sure Britney Spears, it was like, who is this? Oh my God, she's great. We bought her album and then she went freaking crazy and had Hit Me Baby One More Time, just
Oops,
go
I Did
crazy.
It Again. I mean,
and like right when we really moved to the state. So we moved to Kansas and then that summer went to the state fair in Kansas, which is in Hutchinson. Swear I saw Britney Spears, then she has #1 album like 2 months later.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yes. And so obviously like I was hitting middle school in the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Mandy Moore, Destiny's Child, like all of those. I loved it. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, you know. I always loved the bad boys, the tattoo guys and stuff, you know. But so I was very into like the pop music at that time, but I feel like 2000, like 99 and 2000, you had like a lot of crazy pop bands and stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that was my life at that point.
If that's true, I mean, it's really hard to imagine what that must have been like for her. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so do you follow her on Instagram or TikTok? I mean, I've heard a few people be like, her content is great. Like, what's going on with her?
You know, there's conspiracy theories out there that that's not the real Britney Spears.
Oh, for real? No, I didn't know that. And what do you think?
I don't know. I love conspiracy theories.
Do you really?
Yes.
Where does that come from?
I don't know. I guess I just always love to just ask questions.
Okay.
I just love to think about alternative, you know, scenarios in every situation. Whether Kyle makes fun of me a lot, but whether I believe him or not, I think it's fun to like listen out what other people think. So there are conspiracy theories out there that this Britney Spears is not the original Britney Spears.
Okay.
Just like Paul McCartney. you know.
Oh, I didn't know.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my god.
What's
There's like a huge documentary and everything.
Really?
Yes.
That
he died.
No.
And they did like an audition of who looks and sounds the most like him to replace him in the Beatles because they were so popular they could not end the Beatles, so they found a
way
replacement.
back then?
Yes. And
wow.
then he's just been living this life. Oh my god, you need to catch up on that.
That's great. That reminds me of in 2000 like if things were not technologically obviously what they are now, and so you could if you happen to just recently make your way into the country and you know, work your way into this restaurant in Kansas, like you can get a job and your paperwork doesn't necessarily have to be, I mean, there's not a way for us to, so a guy could start, you know, and be an employee for like a couple or 3 pay periods before you get something back saying this social security number doesn't match with what is in the system. And then you have to tell that person and they could literally leave and be back in an hour and all right, they got a new one because there's like literally a dude in a van that's making them. And so a lot of times these folks have to learn and adapt that this is my name now. And so you find out that, okay, Tara, you're working the pantry and here's how we do chicken tender, whatever. And then eventually you get to know however it unfolds, you find out what their actual legit real name is. And just, I always have been intrigued by the idea of training yourself to respond to the new name.
Yeah.
And B, trying to train yourself to not respond to the old name. Yeah. Like, how the fuck do you do that?
I think in celebrity status, there's lots of behind the scenes training on
of course,
your presentation and
right.
everything. But I mean, there's a conspiracy with Avril Lavigne.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't heard that name in a minute.
You have to look up all these things.
So,
but regarding Britney, even if it is her, like the fact that her parents put her in that conservatorship like early on when she was going through these periods. I remember the breakdown period where she shaved her head and she's just like,
after
fuck you guys,
Kevin
like,
Federline.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine at her age having to figure all that life out and having all this money and your family and everybody just after you for everything, and then your parents put you into a position where you can't make any decision? If you really look into it, and I suggest you follow House and Habit on Instagram. She is an amazing investigative journalist.
Oh, wow.
And she really gets into these things. And she really covered the Britney Spears information very well. But, like, her family put her through all those tours in Vegas, basically just like a puppet. Like, do anything I say, work your ass off, make this family a ton of money, and she has no control over what she can do with that money. But she has probably,
not anymore, right?
It just ended.
Right.
But she was making weird videos even before then, and I think some of them were forced upon her. I mean, but now it's like, who cares? Let her fucking do whatever she wants to do. Like, who cares if it's weird?
What was the motivation? For the conservatorship? What?
I mean, I think she had an outrageous moment in the paparazzi, which paparazzi and TMZ and tabloids were really hot back in like 2008, 2009. That was probably the time when she was shaving her head and being all crazy.
Okay.
And I know recently she said that she had so much fun fucking with the tabloids and all those people. And so she would just like do crazy things. Well, there's more conspiracy theories that I don't know if I should go into anything, but I've heard other things like, you remember when Britney shaved her head?
Yeah.
It's a huge moment, and there's all those pictures where she has her umbrella, like about ready to hit the car. I've heard also conspiracies that the government, like, works with celebrities to create outrage so people overlook some things that are happening. And that was a time when George Bush was in office.
Oh, wow.
And needed a few things to kind of go without being noticed. So Britney Spears had this like I shave my head, I'm hitting cars, I'm going crazy. So everybody was focused on Britney Spears, and then George Bush could just like sweep a few things under the rug. So, I think that makes sense to me. But, there's a lot of crazy things back then. The internet wasn't as wild. Social media wasn't as wild. It was all just look at the tabloids. I had Us Weekly. I had all the different Teen Vogues. I had all the magazines. I mean, that is what I looked to for everything. And, pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram.
So this crazy stuff is happening. And so do you think that her parents did this because she might go off the deep end and we should really try to...
I think that's what the intention was, but I think then it got out of control.
That's what I really wanted to know was there good intention behind it?
I think originally, and then they just realized they had that power and that she was just a money horse that she just could print money out of her asshole.
Right.
I mean, and then anything she did.
What made it finally end? Did the court?
She freaking made calls to the White House or to public phone numbers and left them voice messages, and there was people in Congress raising question about this conservatorship because she was calling in to 911 or these things being my family's holding me hostage. I have no control of my life.
Really?
And so she brought somehow publicly that she's under this conservatorship, which then got judges involved and all that kind of stuff, and maybe some big time attorneys that could help her get out of it.
So eventually it ended because the courts ruled. Or okay. I mean, I can't even really imagine how quickly she blew up. That's enough right there. I mean, and then if all the other 18,
stuff. If my whole life started at 18 and all of a sudden I had millions of dollars and everybody asking me for everything, and I'm supposed to somehow be mature to know what to do, I would be fucking crazy too.
I mean,
if I could dance naked or do all these crazy things on Instagram, who gives a shit? Power to you, girl.
Yeah.
I'm a supporter.
We were just talking a minute ago about what's the plan, trying to keep all the things in as an adult, a mom, a wife, a business owner, and all the other hats at this age. And back, no.
There was a viral video / audio that went a couple months ago of her talking to her teenage boy. And someone, I think Kevin Federline, her ex-husband,
who's the father of that kid, right?
Tried to put it out there look at her, she's fucking crazy or whatever. And so many moms resonated with that and were just I would say the same thing. But basically, I don't know her kid's name, but she's Tommy, whatever the name is, I love you, but you're fucking weird right now, and you're weird, and I don't know what to do, and you're learning how to be a boy in life, and I'm trying to just connect with you. Would you just pay attention? Can we just have a relationship here? And it's can you? 14-year-old boys are fucking weird and crazy, and you're trying to figure out their hormones and their, and
we're trying to avoid our moms. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's she was saying so many things that I can imagine a mom being trying to figure out their son going through puberty.
Sure.
So that was just kind of
huh.
She's not crazy. She's just trying to learn her son.
Yeah.
I don't know. I sympathize for her.
Sure.
With, it's post whatever pictures you want. You have all the money in the world. You're not trying to gain followers. You're not making money off posts. Be you. Who cares?
And I think also you can always boil it down to walking a mile in somebody else's shoes. Yeah. I mean, judge all you want, but can you imagine? Fuck no, I can't imagine.
Right.
I think it was it was last winter when I had the electrician over. Mm-hmm. Did I ever tell you about that?
I don't know. Refresh.
Well, there were always some things going back to buying this house where it was kind of need to look into that at some point. Mm-hmm. So I called a couple of electricians, and it shouldn't have been as surprising as it was. Now it makes much more sense, but a lot of times people of certain trades or certain companies are very reluctant to just say, it's, going to cost $175.89 next Thursday at 10:15. You know, they will let you know about the price once we're there. Which is always like, you know, I want to, as somebody that's uninformed, like I want to choose the right company or anyway. So I landed on whoever I landed on and realized that I wasn't going to get much in the way of price info until they were here, which I'd had an experience with, you know, plumber, a couple other different trades. And it's like, fuck, man, just, you can't tell me how much to put in a new hot water heater and take my old one away. You have to sit at my dining room table and open a binder and just like, I need to take a shower, like hot water, please. It's winter.
Yeah.
So this dude comes out and I was like, I already feel weird because of, and he's like, all right, well, here's how we'll address that. Take me around and show me all the things in the list of priority for you. And I was like, okay, that feels decent. So by the time we'd done everything, then he sat down with a tablet and drew up like 4, I think, quotes. And was like, here are all your options. And I was like, oh, now I feel much more comfortable because I could just have you fix the 1 or 2 things, or I could pick 7 things.
Yeah.
So I ended up picking not the biggest, but close to. And so he went and got some things, and then he came back, and I mean, he was here for a while. And I remembered that it was last winter because he sent me a handwritten Christmas card. And was like, I mean, it's still up on the dining room door with all, and it says like, I'm looking forward to some more electrical things breaking at your house so we can hang out again.
Give me his number.
Well, Kyle told me that you guys tried to hire them.
Oh. I'm not a part of that anymore.
Oh, well, anyway, so as I tend to do if I have somebody like that, and I kind of just hang out with them and bullshit. So we started down here or whatever. By the time we were down here and he's doing some things, he started sharing, I mean, like 3 or 4, like, significant conspiracy theories that he is like informed about and kind of and I'm not the only one that is coming to mind right now is chemtrails.
Oh yeah.
And how it's pretty well documented that, you know, weather has been manipulated for X number of years and so on and I was just like, what? You know, and same with whatever the other ones were. And, you know, each
flat Earth.
Well, that one I know of, but each one, he's like, yeah, if you listen to such and such podcast, or if you go to this website, here's where you can find. And it's just like, holy shit, man! I mean, I liked it much better when I didn't know that conspiracy theories were in the world. Yeah, because I want to just like believe that. My chicken is farm raised and organic, and my peaches don't have pesticides or whatever, you know. But you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. No. At the end of the day.
I just love conspiracy theories so much. I will sit down and listen to almost any one that comes my way.
I mean,
and honestly, I love the flat Earth theory
because
someone explained it once where the flat Earth theory goes against everything right now, because right now there's a lot of times where you'll see like, what does it matter, because I'm just a dust in the wind, there's a whole universe, there's like a million other galaxies and planets, and there's other civilizations, so my life doesn't matter. And so what I love the most about the theory is that we're just a part of this dome and we are just this Earth, and it makes you feel so much bigger. Like, if you think about yourself as just being a part of this ginormous, endless infinity galaxy where other civilizations live, well, you kind of feel like anything I do doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
If you think of the Earth as being the only living planet, and you have this dome, and everything we have is right here, you feel like your life is like a little bit more valuable.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could go on and on, but that's like the biggest reason why I love it, because all of a sudden I quit saying anything I do doesn't fucking matter to, oh my God, this is what we have. This
Right.
is what life is. And I liked that.
Well, I mean, I think, what is your definition of matter? I mean, to me,
Sure. But I think it's so easy to just be like, there's a whole fucking space out there. I could do anything and won't change anything.
right.
So it just that one tiny tweak. Obviously, like, I think what I do matters to a lot of people who are in my life.
Right.
That aren't, that aren't on another galaxy.
Right.
But I think it just makes you value human life a little bit more.
For sure.
In that thought.
For sure.
So that is just one way. Obviously, I've heard all the different theories on why the Earth is flat, but that was just something that really stuck out to me in like a whole nother way. I'm like, oh my God, just to like think there isn't just infinity, but it is 8 billion people.
Right. Well,
I liked it.
It's there's fascinating elements to a lot of them, I think, and where I think I wind up checking out is when something feels like there's a very heavy manipulative hand involved. Yeah. Like, it's all a lie. Which
it is in a lot of just general human life. There's manipulation from a lot of different angles. And I think that's why I like conspiracy theories, because it questions what the narrative is that's being pushed by the general public, or pushed by the celebrities, or pushed by the politicians.
Yeah.
I love that somebody's just questioning. Because why not? Like,
For sure.
Why not think of multiple things?
Well, I think that I like it, but maybe with a ceiling on
Totally.
it. And I mean, I've given you plenty of examples already how like not in the loop I am. But one thing that I've given a little bit of thought, it was probably this time last year, when I really, really first started seeing like a significant reason for why it shouldn't be called Columbus Day. And here's evidence as to what a horrible, horrible person Christopher Columbus was, and all the crazy thing. Like it's a big fucking list. And that's, I mean, I don't know how you get any farther apart than third grade social studies and the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and he found, and the rest is history. And that's all it's like, and so you think, oh man, like so many people tried to come across the ocean and fucking died.
Yeah.
And they made it.
Yeah.
And we're sort of here because they did, or whatever. And it's like, huh. And then now you have this stuff, and it's like, okay, well, how much of this have we recently learned? Hopefully all of it. Hopefully all of the stuff hasn't been known all along.
Well, because things can be learned so quickly nowadays.
Right.
I mean, it's like, okay, when Christopher Columbus discovered whatever, well, there wasn't Facebook for grandma
I know.
whatever to tell.
But hopefully back in 1942 when they were writing the textbooks, it wasn't like,
we know how.
But here's what we're going to tell them.
Yeah.
And that's going to, then if you do that, then it's limitless.
That's the hardest thing, is like, history is told by somebody. Like, how unbiased is it? That's the crazy thing, is who's telling the history.
Right.
History is always told by a person who is bound to have flaws and bound to have, a manipulation from somewhere.
Yeah.
So that it's, I constantly wonder, what are the history books going to be like of the today time that, my grandkids are going to learn about? Because I guarantee you it's seen from multiple points of views.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So whose point of view is it going to be?
Well, that'll be it won't be the material. It'll be you're missing a trans Asian person from your panel to put this book together. And it's like, what the text says that you should murder your babies and eat them. Yeah, we're not worried about the text. We just want to make sure. It's like, okay.
Oh
all right.
My gosh, yeah. This could be a slippery slope.
I know. Luckily.
But anyway, look into the Britney Spears conspiracy theory of why it's not the same Britney as it was originally. Same with Paul McCartney. I will find that documentary that you should watch because it is very compelling. But anyway, Kyle knows, and he gets annoyed because I like egg it on sometimes. I'm always like, oh, well, because the earth is flat, because I just love it. But I just really love to hear so many different points of view.
Right.
Not saying that I believe one way or the other, but it just makes me feel like this is what life is about, is hearing so many different perspectives. And it just makes me, I just get interested to see what the other perspective is.
Well, I think...
Oh, before I forget.
Yes.
You mentioned chemtrails.
Yes.
And I don't know, you're a TikTok lover.
I am...
Kind of.
Yeah,
I love TikTok. I will admit it.
I wish that somebody could put a setting on there that I can't control. And, your time's up.
There is. You can on your phone. You can set time limits.
And then you can't just go right back in there and change it?
Well, you can just say ignore. Well, but at least it will notify. Because Kyle has it on Instagram. I've never set it, but Kyle has an Instagram setting. And it says, you've spent your max limit on Instagram today. Do you want to ignore it? So you have to cognitively say, ignore the time limit. But you can set limits on your apps. But it comes. I'm going to spend 4 hours on TikTok.
I know, and that's the thing.
I don't watch anything.
I'm never
anymore,
gonna not ignore. Like more.
Okay, but have you seen the glitter conspiracy?
This sounds familiar.
So on TikTok, there is a glitter shortage. Well, it's not just on TikTok.
Yes.
Somebody reported it from the New York Times. Had this weird article that for some reason we have a shortage of glitter. And so when Kyle was on his bachelor trip the other weekend, just for fun, I'm like catching him up on what's going on TikTok this weekend. So I'm like, okay, babe, here. And it was a bunch of House of Dragons and all this kind of stuff. Are you into Game of Thrones and that kind of stuff? I never dived I love it. So I sent him all the House of Dragons stuff. And then I was like, here's the conspiracy on glitter shortage. And I sent him a whole breakdown. And there was a couple videos on these women giving like PowerPoints of all the different information they've gathered of why the glitter shortage is happening. Very few people led to this, but I heard one conspiracy that the chemtrails are made with glitter because it like produces aluminum and they're trying to put aluminum into the atmosphere and all this kind of stuff. So, but anyway, the glitter shortage is really crazy because the person at the glitter factory said, "Oh, my client would never want to know that it's glitter. Like they don't want to know why this product uses glitter." And that's why there's a huge shortage. So anyway, someone connected it with chemtrails.
But why would somebody not want to know that this whatever is made with glitter?
That's why it became a huge conspiracy. Exactly. Like, why wouldn't you want your consumers to know that your product is made of glitter?
So what's the answer?
Well, because the government doesn't want people to know that they're actually putting chemtrails out there. And glitter can't be connected to chemtrails because they don't want chemtrails to be considered a real thing.
Damn.
But glitter is like a composition of like aluminum that can evaporate and all this kind of stuff. And so if you think about chemtrails as not being the exhaust of an airplane, because not every fucking airplane makes a chemtrail.
Right.
So it's like, why are there 100 fucking lines in the air today? Like, how many airplanes are there? Well, if their government is actually putting things out there and aluminum can do certain things to the population, and glitter can become evaporated aluminum, maybe. I'm looking like a crazy person right now.
I mean,
it was just like, oh, there's a glitter shortage and someone connected it to chemtrails. Crazy.
For sure. I mean, and where I check out is I'm just glad that my kids are specifically my daughter is past the age of being, because whenever there would be a craft or something that involved glitter, it was just a fucking nightmare because it gets everywhere.
I don't buy it. I can't.
You can't because there isn't any for you to buy. Tara.
There's none. There's a shortage.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I love conspiracy theories. It's
all good.
So much fun.
Yeah, that was a wild day walking around with that dude.
Honestly, that makes me really happy. One, he did a great job of like listing out your options. Because I will say to every contractor, it's really hard to say how much it's going to cost, especially when you're working on old product. You never know if anything's going to go right. And if you want to cover all of your costs, to like not make the client ever have to pay for anything extra that you find, your price is way higher than somebody else is going to tell you.
Yeah.
And
well, it was fascinating because when he showed it, like I opened the door and I mean I was steamrolled by cologne. And I was like, "Oh shit." Okay.
Well, at least he's aware.
So, and immediately he says, apologize. The person's house that I was just at, they had like 13 cats. I don't know however. He's like, so if I'm covered in pet hair and I smell like cats, and I literally had to like pivot for a second and be like, I'm just trying to cut through the cologne cloud. Like, wow. So I'm spending all this time, and he did it in the order, but the way that it shook down was by the time we were doing the outside stuff, it was like later in the day and it was chilly, and I was like struggling to be out there with him. But eventually, in fact, we're on your side of my house, and he's replacing this dawn to dusk thing, and
the one that always hits Kyle in the hot tub.
No. This it puts light on the Airstream.
Oh, okay.
And the fence.
Okay.
That
the one closer in to the fireplace, right?
Yes,
right
that one. That one. The other one, I've told him I can turn it off.
He's fine.
But he by this point, so he's been here for like a couple hours, and we're talking about like his past and how he's been married a few times and so on. So he's recovering. He's been sober for blah, blah, blah. And he's up on the ladder, and I'm just leaning up against the house. And he goes, so, yeah, really the only thing that I really get into these days, and you're not going to believe this, but it's cologne. And I was like, I believe you. And he was, and I my reaction must have been something, because he was like, oh, could you tell? I was like, yeah, well, I caught a little. And so where all of that went was, he was on his third marriage, and the previous two were horrible. Mm-hmm. And there's all these years of drug use, and he red flag 3 or 4. I'm like, have you ever seen a therapist? And he was like, no. Like, what for? And I was like, have you been listening to our conversation that you've been doing all the talking in?
If only I was professional.
So eventually we kind of get into like where the drug stuff started. Mm-hmm. And it started from his mom, who was the one that introduced him to meth or whatever it was. And the first time he used was with her. And then all of this shit started derailing to where like she was like beating him and stealing from him, and I mean like 10 more things to the therapy list. Mm-hmm. And eventually he I think he had like one thing left, or maybe he was done, and all we had to do is the transaction. But so our conversation ceased for a moment, and then when we reconvened, he's like, man, I've been really kind of giving what you said a lot of thought. Like, if I were to go talk to a therapist, like, what do you think I would talk to them about? And I was like, I don't know. We could start with your mom turning you on to hardcore drugs, and then
just see what happens.
Like, just push that snowflake down a hill. It's gonna turn. But
I mean, what a compliment, Blair, for somebody to feel so. I mean, I don't know what he talks about to all his other clients, but to feel so comfortable to talk to you.
I think people are usually like, go fix the thing and don't bother me until it's time. But at one point, he also told me that he has learned that a lot of folks that are like really engaged in conspiracy theories are also recovering addicts. And I was like, not interested.
I'm not
interested in, but I mean like full, like I think he's giving hours a day, every day, and keeping up with the podcast and reading all the articles, which I think is maybe a little bit more engaged than
I mean, I don't do that. I hear like a little cap, and then I just like
right,
it.
yeah.
Some I have gone into. I haven't done like research per se, but I've put a little bit of time into just hearing things. But I don't spend a lot of time digging.
Well, I couldn't have been more pleased with the whole punch in the info on the tablet and then it generates and you get to review it. As opposed,
just the fact that he started out giving you options, saying, "Hey, it could be this or it could be this," and pick and choose. I mean, that takes a lot of time from people. So, I mean, I don't know why it didn't work out, but I'm gonna tell Kyle to call him again.
Well, and again, this is just a dude that works for the I forget the name of the
for a big company.
Yes,
or something. Okay.
You would if I could remember the name, you would recognize it.
Yeah.
But I mean. There's carpet people, plumber, like anytime I just hang with them and if I have to duck out to handle work stuff or kid stuff, I do, of course, but I always find it just super fascinating. And the thing, the sticker shock for me for the, was like, okay, I really can't afford the option that I'm going to choose, but I really want all those things fixed. So I'll figure it out. I'm going to choose it. And then it's like, I wonder why this is so expensive. Oh, I know. I've never called an electrician before. So I have no idea what shit should cost.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a tactic we're trying to start utilizing because we sticker shock every single client. For us,
but I thought you guys are like super duper transparent.
We are.
Okay,
but
so then it really shouldn't be a shock.
But it's not before. It's always before they've spent it. So it's like somebody goes, "Oh, I want to do this job for $100,000 or whatever." We're like, "What you just described to me is $400,000. So how do we get there?" And so now my tactic is, I need you to remove your ideal scope instead of me trying to move and do all this extra work to make it fit. Because anytime we try to get crafty and make it work, we just work for free. We just do everything for free to try to make it work. And then it's like, I can't survive. I can't live my life. For my own house, I will fucking be as crafty as I can fucking be. But if I'm trying to actually make a living off of this, I can't spend all these unpaid hours to make it work. So sometimes it just is what it is. Well, we still have a lot of unpaid hours. It's like we're in phases of our career. When we started with just me and Kyle, we did practically every job for free because we needed to build a portfolio. Like, we lived on the absolute fucking minimum. And we made, honestly, I'm sure you're not following a bunch of designers on Instagram or anything. So, but I will
just
say.
One.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, us? Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, it still surprises me, but there's jobs that me and Kyle did together that have been, like, compared by bloggers to major designers before, like this kitchen or that kitchen, and they put our kitchen.
How did they find it?
Instagram hashtags, that kind of thing. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, you're really comparing. Like, to me, it's so not even on that level, but it is.
But it's thought
nice,
so,
right? And so I'm like,
and they have an audience, right? Who could probably, if they were crazy or not, their audience would be like,
right. It wasn't obvious, but in my mind, it was like, why would you ever compare to that? That's like my idol, you know? So we've had those moments where it's just me and him just like doing as much as we can for free to get us to this level. Now we're at this level where we've done things, but we've realized, oh my God, we have to charge more because now having a team costs a lot of money.
Well, yeah, you didn't have an office, you didn't have employees.
So now we're like in this new phase where we're like still not really making money, but we're covering our costs. But we still care a lot about the projects that we're going to get them to the level that we want. So then hopefully we can start attracting the budget that's going to actually make us
generate the margin that you deserve.
Yeah.
After your years of
Because
charity work.
someday I don't want to just have to buy hand-me-down clothes.
I heard what you said, but what I think you meant was someday I want to have a person that I can send to Costco at 1:30 on a Sunday.
Yes. Actually, no, that will never happen.
Oh,
even if I wanted to pay twice as much to have like another person deliver what I order online, there's something about physically shopping for things, even when it comes like food for sure. I have to just like feel it and see it.
Yeah.
I can't just buy it online. I don't know what I'm going to fucking cook. I can't just like order things online. I have to go see what's going on. I have to smell the produce. I can't let someone from Uber Eats or Instacart pick peaches
probably
for
didn't
me.
wash their hands after they wiped,
like, No. I'm going to smell my fruit and decide what I'm going to pick.
Well, especially if you want to have a nice piece of citrus in your... This thing is a stone. You thought that I wanted...
Who would fucking pick this lime? It's hard. It's rock hard.
Yeah.
But it's safe for like interior, like decor and stuff. Sure, you can find anything on the internet. But there is something about spending multiple days like curating and like feeling something and finding vintage pieces and just like using your hands and your brain. And the internet is so fucking annoying because it makes things so easy and convenient that people have lost the art of like actually compiling cool shit. And so that I love is if my whole job could be shopping all day long, that would be exciting. I mean, I would be so happy.
I know at least one of your children would love to be a part on the payroll.
Same with clothes. Like, I can't buy things online. Right. It's like, cool, that's on sale. Of course, I'm going to pick that over this, but let me go see it in person and try it on and like feel the fabric. Because I've bought expensive shit that feels like cheap quality. And I was like, well, I would have never paid that much in person, but God, how annoying is it to have to package it up and return it? So I'll just keep it.
Right.
So that's why it's like, I hate shopping online because I will never return. Anyway.
I think the list of things, I mean, there's obviously an element of sarcasm in the internet's so fucking annoying.
Yeah. Well, obviously, like we could not function without the internet.
Right. But I think there's a very long list of things that are now harder.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's brain works differently. I mean, I can learn if somebody gave us, 7 exercises from 7 different subjects, we're going to score differently across the board, I would think, because like, I'm good in this in kind of like 1.5 subjects, and then the rest I'm like C- at best. And so for the things that don't come easy to me, I need pretty specific guidance and instruction, like an actual printed manual that's not English is their 4th language, so you're always kind of, it's like somebody that doesn't read their texts. They're just firing them off, and you have to like figure out what they meant, Well, no, there are folks out there that are terrible.
All my employees would be like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck you were trying to say, Tara, but I'm just like, oh, figure it out.
I mean, so like getting somebody hired to create the space, and then like figuring out with, a little bit of assistance from Kyle, like how to make this table. And then like, obviously I can go on the internet and buy all of this shit, but once it's here, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with it. And so I'm doing this weird, hard to describe thing where I'm like on a browser and following links and opening up videos. And it doesn't take long to where I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know. All of this is so much, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. Like, I went boop, 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 and all the shit got dumped on my porch. But now that it's here, I need like an efficient way to learn it that sort of kind of caters to where I'm dumb and where I'm not. And it can, if I had hair.
Yeah. Well, so even in preparing for this interview, not that I prepared, but I really tried to like think about my relationship with music and all these other things. I have survived. I have had to focus on very different elements of my life based on the stage I'm in. So like when we started our business, I had to be focused on the details and getting our business like operating and moving and create these systems. Not that they're great systems, but I had to do something to move forward.
You keep trying to not give yourself credit.
But ultimately, I am a big picture dreamer. I'm also very like I know I'm talented when it comes to design and aesthetic, and I could buy nothing, and if you gave me a bunch of stuff from around your house, I could make it look really good.
Yeah.
And that is natural talent. I'm not trying to toot my
Dude,
own horn.
stop.
But
yeah.
It's just like what you said, like, oh, I could buy all this, but I don't know what to do with it. My problem is, give me all the things. I know what to do with it, but like putting the work into the detail, my brain is just it's going so wild that I have to like know what I'm focusing on at that moment. And sorry to try to wrap up this thought,
you're fine.
but like when it comes to music, I am naturally talented at music. I've grown up playing multiple instruments, but I don't know how to read music. I hear it. I feel it. I know, like I was even looking up terms today on music and how to read sheet music because I'm like, how do I explain this one part of a song that changed my life forever? And I can't even explain it, but I can feel it.
Sure.
And so my life and my design and my like everything that has to do with it is all about a feeling. And it's just something that comes out if I'm given the tools. Like if I'm given the instrument, if somebody sings something to me, if somebody like plays me something, I can come at it with feeling. And so I guess I'm just like, I'm not good at refining the details. I don't know the brands. I don't know the designers. Like, of course, like if I ever want to elevate myself, I need to put the effort into like learning the history of things. But I can tell you what looks good. I can tell you if this is going to go with that. I can tell you if I see quality in this or this. I can put something together that no one else will ever think of. But do I know like the history and the details and like the things about it? No.
Well, here's the weird thing for me is, and I know it's slam dunk for any and all of us to just constantly technology, and it's not the way it was when I blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But if I were you and I found, okay, it's very clear that these are my gifts. This is my natural talent. I've gotten all the reinforcement and validation from industry experts, that I consider above me, that are equal to me, that are just brand new. But now I really want to learn the details and the history. It's being okay with sitting with a specific like that and learning it and studying it and knowing that you don't know how much time it's going to take for you to read this stuff and then also retain it, comprehend it, and be able to communicate with somebody about it. And, who knows? It might be 3 hours. It might be 3 weeks until you move into the next subheading of that topic. And to just be okay with the fact that it's going to take X amount of time to learn this thing, and then it's going to take X amount of, and when you finally learned all the things, and now, you're informed, you're educated, it took X amount of time to get to that, but it's fine. It didn't matter. It didn't end up put all this stress on, I gotta learn it all now. And
I honestly don't fucking care if I learn it.
Well,
to me, learning those details is a luxury. Like if I have the time to sit down and be like, I'm going to know exactly the history of this and this, that's because I didn't have to fucking grind every second of my life to make enough money to live that day. I'm still in the grind phase.
Right.
And if I'm honest, I'm so thankful that I have, we've built such a great team to fill in those blanks right now. Not saying that our team is, so versed to know every tiny little thing, but we have at least built our team to fill our weaknesses at this point.
Do they teach you stuff?
No.
Oh.
Not that, but let's say, I mean, I'm like the dreamer of our designs, and I'll just say all these crazy things, and I'll look at my interior designer, and I'm like, Trisha, you know what I'm thinking
Take
right
what's
now.
in here and put it.
I'll tell you what, it's insane how much she has like learned me, because I will say the tiniest little detail and give very little specifics, and she'll be like, I just want it to be kind of like this. Like, I give very vague things, and I'm like, but you know what I mean, like, perfect. And then in 2 hours she spit something out to me, and I'm like, oh my god, exactly what was in my mind. Like, we are so in sync, it's insane. So they have filled in the blanks of my like spotty detailness, and when it was just me and Kyle, I had to be very detailed, but now we're doing like 10 times the amount of work that we were doing. And so I have to delegate, and I have to rely on these people. And so I'm trying to train them to just hear my big, meaningful words and fill in the blanks. And, I'll obviously edit multiple times until we get to a point. But it's nice that at this point, they can fill in the blanks as we continue to grow, and I'm not needed, like, as they learn and they can take on a little more autonomy on their own, then I feel like it's a luxury to like learn more of the history and all that kind of shit that I would love to be able to spit out a bunch of reasoning. Why did you do this? Oh, because this person inspired me from like 100 years ago, and I picked this perfect vintage thing, and right now I'm just like, I don't fucking know, but it looks really cute and I love it.
Yeah. I might not get it exactly right, but I think there was a moment in Kyle's episode where we talked about the fact that he kind of now has a person that like does a lot of key things for him, and what's missing is to find the person for you that can take on a lot of things. And I think there was a joke made that person doesn't exist, or we'll never be able to, because there's so many things that she really wants to be. Does that sound familiar?
I mean, I'm just my whole life has been I don't have a path. Like, I never fit in a clique growing up because I was a jock. I was a band geek. I was in choir. I was an art person. I was all these different things. So it's very hard to pinpoint. I think maybe I've decided, and Kyle's just agreeing, like, he needs to be the operating go-to stability of our business, because I need to be a more free thinker. And I was saying this earlier, where I'm just trying to like recognize what my strengths are. And I've had to be things to get us to where we are. But ultimately, I'm never going to thrive if I have to focus on operations and what the standard day-to-day protocol is. Like, fucking shoot me. I hate this. We're sitting in a meeting and everybody's looking at me and I'm like, I fucking don't want to be here right now. Obviously I care, and I will voice my opinion.
Sure.
And I'll check people on their thoughts and everything. But in order for me to thrive as a human creative thinker, I just need way more flexibility, and I need to have the ability to be a little bit more lone wolf. Like,
do you
everybody leave me alone?
Find yourself taking notes ever?
So less, but yes, of course I take notes.
Like pen and paper or on your phone?
I hate my phone for notes. It's always writing. I have to
it
logs it
in there better.
Because like someone could speak all they want to me, but if I don't write it, I don't remember it. And same, like, even about your comment earlier of, okay, you just have to, learn this real quick and cognitively register this. Well, I have absolute terrible dyslexia. And
really?
Yes, and I, like, someone teaching me the most basic thing, just sitting here in a class, I won't fucking learn anything. I have terrible grades. I'm a terrible test taker.
Really?
Yes, I would probably look like a very low IQ human being, but I'm street smart.
Sure.
Kyle is very, very smart and educated in his field, but we would not have fucking Cicada Company if we were relying on his ability to get a business going. So it's like, I know I have the street smart and I have the ability to grind and step in when needed, but are we going to thrive? No. I'm not an operations person.
Right.
I'm a dreamer, and I need to be able to fly.
We should break real quick.
Yeah.
I need to pee,
I do
and you
too.
need a beverage. And
then maybe talk about
maybe
music
we'll
at some point.
Yeah. So we are gonna pivot to talk a little bit about music, and
Okay.
before we dive in, I do want to ask you to tell the story of making the videos in college, if you don't mind.
Sure.
How it originated. Just tell me all the things.
Well, one, I'm a huge ham. I loved making videos growing up. And unfortunately, my parents moved, so we lost a lot of the tapes because they were all on like little cassette or VHS and all that kind of stuff. And we can't find the box. So I haven't seen them since my parents moved. But I loved making videos and music videos and everything growing up. And I always say if TikTok or Instagram or social media was like a bigger thing when I was in college, I would be fucking rich as shit right now. And now I just don't have time to do any of that.
Hold on, Brittany's calling me again.
Yeah, Brittany, hi. But so in college, I was in sorority, like I said earlier, and during recruitment.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. I have a Caitlin pour. We always say that because Caitlin just fills it to the top. I just didn't want to take another break.
I mean, one of my favorite things about the episode with Kyle was he went home for the first refill. And then, well, obviously, I mean, fucking your third child, was taking her first.
Yeah, I know. I was like, sorry, babe, but guess what happened?
And we didn't necessarily know that it was going to take 3 hours. But after our second break and his refill was now empty, I was like, are you going to go back? He's like, I can't go back. I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad you said it. Yeah. Anyway, you would be super fucking rich right now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally would. And it's funny because it kind of like Vine. Do you remember Vine coming out? But it just never really took off like TikTok.
It looked like it.
It did.
And then it kind of...
A lot of the big Vine stars transferred to TikTok very quickly. Okay, so anyway, as in sorority and recruitment is a huge thing in sorority. And I was always... Everybody has like a role and there's multiple layers. Like it's insane what happens in recruitment. Like you have people researching the people coming into the home and stuff ahead of time. And they like put you together with certain people based on their resumes and stuff. Like who's talking to who. It's not just organically happening.
Right. Which had to be a way different thing pre-internet.
Totally. I mean, there was a lot of work that went into it when there was no Facebook. There was nothing to like look at. A Facebook just started, it was like 2 years old. So you only could see so much information. I was always a face-to-face interviewer. I'm a people person and I would always do that, but you had to make grades. And the semester before recruitment of this year, I traveled through Europe through a whole semester and I just took my laptop and I failed like every fucking class because I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to the disco and I'm not studying.
I'm in Madrid, motherfucker.
I got like a 2.0 and I'm like, I would do it over again because I just had the best semester of my life doing like crazy things. And so I didn't have grades to be like an on the floor person. So I was in the back room just like researching people and doing this, and I'm not good at sitting at a desk all day.
Sure.
And I was stuck in the basement.
I was gonna say, I feel like there was a basement involved.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm stuck here. So I would just like turn music on and I would just start dancing and just doing all these things. And then someone just like got like not a phone, but they got a real camera out or like, something to record me. And so then I would just like naturally like turn and start dancing and singing to the song. And so we had one, and it was like back when Apple was really cool and like iMovie was a thing.
I think it still is.
It still is, but that was like if you wanted to edit, you used an Apple and you had to do that. So my friend was teaching me about this. It's like, oh my God, how cool is this? And we just did took 30 minutes and I pretended to be in a music video, and we edited it really fun. And during recruitment, like before the girls would actually come through recruitment, it was like a whole week of prep. So we did this music video, and we had a late night meeting, and it's like 10 p.m. and I was a senior, and I'm like, hey guys, look what I made tonight. And I put this video up, and everyone was just dying laughing, and it was so fun. So then my job went from being...
And what was the content?
It was to the Black Eyed Peas.
Which song?
I'ma Be.
Okay.
And it was very amateur. It was just like, I had my Snuggie. I had a Snuggie on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I was just like by my computer, and I just stood up and danced. And we did a couple little scenes like throughout the sorority. And it was just funny.
Nice.
And then everyone was like, okay, we need entertainment every night. So Tara and Megan, you guys are the entertainment committee now. And so I didn't have to do any of the other shit. And literally all they let me do every day was go make a music video.
You didn't have to do any more of the background?
No, because I was being useless anyway.
I found my special purpose.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, go make a music video and entertain us tonight. I'm like, done. I will take that. So then we thought about it. And I was thinking in full MTV music video, like, thought process of, you got to have a story plot. You have, like, where are we going to have this scene?
What were some of the biggest two or three or whatever videos that you remember growing up?
Oh, like music videos?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Or even high school, things
That's a big question. I literally loved music videos. Like, that's how I listened to music really growing up. I think of, like, again, early 2000s, J-Lo she was a dancer that kind of became a musician.
Yeah.
And so she was very Latino, like curvy dancing. And I loved her early music videos. Britney Spears, obviously. I mean, one of my best friends in middle school was a big Britney Spears fan with me. And I'm a Slave for You came out. And for her birthday, I made like a parody music video.
Really?
To I'm a Slave for You.
Okay.
And I dressed up like her. And I was like, Hannah, I'm a slave for you. And I like pretended to be Britney, and it was so funny. So this is like not abnormal for me.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But
all it was missing was the equipment and the assignment. You're
exactly,
like, oh,
exactly.
We start today?
It's like, cool.
I've been waiting.
And of course, they're all Black Eyed Peas. Like that was like I was a big fan of them in that era.
I mean, they put out
like
2 or 3 records in a row that were
9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's late in the spectrum of their right.
It was kind of right at the ending.
Yeah.
Like they had like 2 albums, and then I don't think they did anything afterwards.
Right.
But then I was also a fan of like Fergie when she did her one solo album, Fergalicious. I fucking loved it. And so one of my music videos was to Fergalicious.
Nice.
And that was the first one where we were allowed to go film that day. So we spent all day like coming up with plots and what we're going to do.
Intentional choreography.
Scenes. Yeah. And
not just you being like, hey guys.
And I was like, guys, I have to have a shower scene. So like one of them, I'm like, baby. And I like have like a tube top swimsuit on, but they filmed me from just here up, and I have the shower going, and I'm like, but I can't stop laughing. So it was really funny. Like I wasn't trying to be sexy. I was just like, look at me in the shower. But then it was also like, I need a pudding situation. And so we have this time, and it goes like in little clips throughout the song. And that's something I really learned, like really educating myself on how the music videos are put together. And it's like clipped sequences, and you can't have anything too long or people lose connection and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to like integrate a pudding scene through every like verse. You know,
what, pudding?
So
like
I just had like I had like a little cup of pudding, and I'd be like, "Ooh, baby!" And then one thing was just like dipping my finger into it, but then that was it. And then the next verse was like, "Oh," but then by the third one, it was just like, "Oh,
oh my god!"
And it was just like being funny, you know. It was like I was never cool enough to be sexy. I always had to be weird about it, you know.
Well, I think it sounds like you got in your own way, because it sounds like you had the stage set to be sexy in the shower,
so
but
I
then,
like got
but
it,
then you're
and then
goofy.
I was like, hey.
Oh man.
So that was one.
This is all like this is.
Have you ever watched them?
I've
all?
watched a couple.
Okay.
But this is if you happen to this content like randomly landed in your lap, there's no hashtags to explain. So you're just like, what is this?
Yeah,
What's the story with this girl?
But okay, so then the next one was another Black Eyed Peas song. I forget which song it was, but it was way more choreographed, and we went to like different locations around town, and we had my car involved, and we did a really cool scene where I was rapping on a little roundabout.
Okay.
And then someone in the car had a camera and was filming me as they drove around the roundabout.
Wow.
And I'm like, woo! And so I stayed still, but the car moved.
Right.
And it was like, it was as they went around, obviously I heard it differently. So I kind of slowed down from the music.
Okay.
No one would notice that but me.
Right.
But obviously we didn't have
That sounds like it was so much fun.
stuff. So much fun. I could not be like more ecstatic.
Was there? I keep. I don't know what it is, but I keep having this image of like there's a tree and you like pop out and you've got like a hoodie on and maybe shades
yes,
and you're being.
That was that was this one I'm talking about.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, let's go. And we had like choreographed like dancing down the stairs, and
yes.
I had a Volkswagen Bug, and my license plate was Lone Wolf, and so like that was a part of the music video.
Okay, cool.
And the end of the music video was me driving off with tire marks in my V-Dub, putting a peace sign out the sunroof.
Oh man!
Catching the Lone Wolf license plate, driving off into the distance.
I feel like if Tarantino could hear this, he'd be like, "The girl's got a gift."
I mean, again, like if social media was a thing, it probably would have gone somewhere. Yeah. I'd be in a much different life than I am now.
Yeah. Who's Kyle? Who's this Kyle guy?
No, he'd still be there.
I'm kidding.
No, so that was really fun. And then what led to this next part was just the momentum of it was my senior year, and I was finally coming out really as my personality a little bit more, being more myself. I was single, and it was just a fun part of life.
Well, you went from kind of small town to small town, sort of, right? So that would track that you're like senior.
And I had a serious relationship for the first few years of college, and then it was kind of like finding myself. And then my senior year I started out being like fully confident. Oh my gosh, I'm on my own. I'm single. This is great. And I met Kyle that fall.
Okay.
And he was like the first person who could like meet my energy level.
Oh, really?
And so it wasn't like I'm in a relationship. It was like, let's fucking rage together. Right. But so my last music video, well, not my last, but my last for my sorority was my class actually nominated me to be the senior speaker at our sorority event. But I was going to be out of town. I was visiting my older sister living in California.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, I'll make a music video instead since I can't be there to speak. So I literally wrote a rap.
Okay.
Like I was a waitress at the time, so I would be working and like writing my rhymes.
I love it.
For like weeks. And I decided obviously vanilla.
Picture Eminem on the bus in 8 Mile, writing, in his journal.
Yeah. Ice Ice Baby was the song, so I I paid for and downloaded the, like musical track.
Sure.
To Ice Ice Baby, to Vanilla Ice, and wrote a rap for the entire song. And it was all about my sorority and my experience with them. And if you really break down the lyrics, like it's pretty fucking good for, someone making it up in a week.
Yeah.
Then I took my Apple computer and I used GarageBand and downloaded it, and I recorded it on my laptop. And then I was like, this needs to be more dimensional. So like on the chorus, I would like have multiple tracks of me like doing like, oh, ice, ice, baby, whatever it needed to be. And I was like, God, I'm so pimp. Like, look at me doing all this cool stuff.
Can't believe I have to live here with all you bougie fucking bitches. You guys don't know.
So I wrote this rap, I recorded it, and then I made a music video to it. And honestly, the setting was so last minute. It was like, okay, someone's here to record it. It was my friend who did all the other ones. I'm like, oh, I need a background. So I just put a sheet up over a door, like French doors to a patio. And really, if you look at it and know the song, it's such a crazy thing. It was a blue blanket with daylight coming through and like a palm tree in the background. I'm like, what a good fucking background for just being like, let's throw a sheet up.
Right.
So anyway, that was a great one. And they played it live at the senior event that I couldn't make it to.
Oh, right.
So that was fun.
I was thinking I had graduation in my head for some reason.
Well, it wasn't graduation, but it was a specific senior like goodbye thing.
And so all of the ones that you made, you still have access to?
Well, yeah, they're all uploaded on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, nice. And what's the?
I don't know, Tara Farley.
Okay, all right.
And then my sisters were like, oh my God, my sister makes music videos. So then I got out of like holiday chores because my family wanted to make a music video. So we'd make a music video at night. And then while everyone had to rake leaves, I would get to be home on Christmas break, like editing. And
wow.
It would take, editing on iTunes is very different than like the new apps that it's so simple.
Yeah.
So it would take me like fucking 8 hours to edit these videos.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. My dad wanted to be in them, and my mom would be in them. We're literally college students at home from school making music videos instead of going out drinking with our friends. We're at home making music videos. My parents are just crying, laughing all night.
I love it.
It was wonderful. So that was fun. I mean, I made them even when I was married, even after I had Ivy. I think the last one I made was like maybe 7 years ago.
Wow.
So,
I was
in
that
my
one on YouTube
mid-20s. Yeah. It was to a Britney Spears song, Work Bitch.
I mean,
on the farm.
Natch.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the story of Playlist for Kyle, which you're going to have to start from the beginning. I can't remember. I've forgotten the important details.
Well, just when me and Kyle first started dating, we lived apart. We were dating immediately, remote, or what is that?
Long distance. Yeah.
And so it was just a way for us to get to know each other.
Right.
And I was like, he asked me for some playlists, and I took it really serious. I will, though.
Wait, did they start as mixtapes?
No, they were CDs.
But
I gave him physical CDs.
That you burned?
That I burned.
Yeah,
on
okay,
a
so you curated these.
I curated.
Okay.
I've even sent them to you years ago. And I based them on mood. And so I went through, this was back when I had to download or pay for, music product. You didn't have subscriptions and stuff. So I went through just my library, and then I decided I wanted to make mixed tapes or CDs based on mood. So I could pull them up on what I titled them all.
Sure.
I will, however, have to give a little bit of credit to one of my friends, and I've thought about this. He is still a musician and putting out some really great content, so I'll share that with you. But my friend growing up, we were in band and choir together, and he's always introduced me to so much music and widened my, like of music just from pop music to giving me classicals and giving me alternatives. And he introduced me to so many different things. And every time he would come visit, he would just download a bunch of music onto my computer.
Wow.
And it was really great that otherwise my family's just not a big musical family to have shared that with me. So anyway, my library was stacked with a lot of stuff that I would just put on shuffle. I mean, I literally had an Apple Shuffle. That was my go-to. I never listened to things in sequence or in order. It was always like, just give me the eclectic array of the shit that I have on here, and let's listen to 1,000 songs. Big
picture dreamer.
Right. And so when Kyle asked for that, I was like, okay, I am intentionally going to listen to every single song, and I'm going to make a folder of all my favorites. And then from there, I'm going to categorize. This is how much I liked him, by the way. Like, dang. I normally would not spend this much effort.
Find a gal what's the thing? Find somebody that fill in the blank.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like on TikTok or whatever. Find somebody that I can't even think of a good example, but that
I mean, I fucking spent a shit ton of time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't believe how quickly I fell in love with Kyle. Like, it was crazy how quickly that happened and how much I cared for him. So putting that effort in, I never would have done for anybody else.
Right?
Yeah. And when he asked for it, I think he was asking for like one tape. And I went, I was like, I'm going to listen to every song I've ever procured, and I'm going to categorize them. And I gave him like 7 mixtapes. And it's all based on, here's my chill atmosphere, here's my excited chill zone, here's my partying one, here's my sad album, here's my, whatever. And I think they're all really great.
And he dug them, right?
He did. He loved them, as far as I know.
Right.
He might have thought
right.
they were shit, but still wanted to
No,
be with me.
he would have absolutely taken at least one liberty
Yeah.
to toss a little trash on,
Yeah.
But it's funny. I've noticed for a very long time. In fact, I maybe can only think of 2 situations where you have said anything or wanted to do something differently with the music playing in your home, which he seems to be almost always running.
Yeah.
And you seem to almost always be cool with whatever he's chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe think of 1 or 2 times where you've said it was too loud because conversation's happening, or maybe you wanted to hear something specific in that moment.
Yeah.
And so or because you guys can both jump on,
Yeah.
right? And but for the most part, you always seem to be just cool with whatever he's chosen.
I'm not a good DJ. I'll admit that. But there are certain times when music in an atmosphere means a lot to the setting. Like growing up, when we moved to Kansas, my dad had a better job. We had a stereo system in our house, but there was always the atmosphere set, and there was always background music and stuff, and that has always, it's taught me how to set the stage to entertain.
Yeah.
So we the second we got our house put together, we got the Sonos system put in place and put a speaker in every room, outdoor speakers, and I feel like it sets just a different element to our holidays and the entertaining and what you kind of put on in the background.
That's warmth and inviting.
I'll make brunch and we'll put on French cafe music, and it's just okay, now let's have a fucking mimosa and enjoy the Sunday.
You guys want some ham?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've always been very aware of what music can do in an entertaining standpoint, and I'm never good at curating it. I really do now rely on a lot of the curated playlists and stuff that Apple
you were
Music
at one time.
Spotify will. At one point, when I really loved a person and had no children or anything to fucking worry about, sure. But now it's okay, let me tell you the vibe. Play it,
Right.
So.
Well, when we were talking about figuring out a time to do this, I think you spent some time with it, and then finally were like, you know what? This Coldplay record, which maybe has 2 titles. I mean, it's Viva La Vida,
or Death of All His Friends.
Yeah. And
I think everyone knows it as Viva La Vida.
Well, I think it, if you're reading a study or a paper or something, and they mention an organization that also happens to have an acronym in its title, they'll spell it out the one time and then refer to it as the acronym every time after. That seemed to be the case when I looked at a couple things. It's and then from then on, we're going to call it this. And there is a track called, maybe the last track is called Death of...
Yeah, and that's my favorite song.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've thought so much about this, and what I've realized is music is triggered to a certain moment in my life if it has meaning, and that album came out at a very pivotal moment.
2008.
Of my life.
Which was?
So I had a high school relationship that went into college, and so my first 2 years of college I was very fucking boring and I have a long distance relationship, whatever. And okay, so that summer was heavy on music because I took a job as a golf course greenskeeper, and I
What?
literally mowed a golf course my whole
Really?
summer. Yes. And so I just had fucking headphones in
Sure.
all day. And I was really close with my friend Kevin, who helped me curate these playlists, or he would introduce me to songs. But I would also download some and buy them on my own. And it was just, I had to have my iPod ready to go for 8 hours of work.
Yeah.
And
Would it last on one charge? 8 hours?
well, I mean, it was just an iPod, so
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't have apps running
Right,
or anything. It was just
right, yeah.
music. It could
Good
last
call,
like a
good
whole
call.
week.
Yeah.
And you just plug it into your stereo at home,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So I would just have that going. And honestly, during that summer, I would have golfers come up to me and be like, hey, can you quit singing? We can hear you. But the mower was so loud. I mean, I was on this
Sure.
massive mower.
Oh.
It like was steps up. I was probably like 7 feet tall on the mower.
Wow.
I was riding these. I mowed the whole golf course, and I mowed the greens. It was me and one other girl. I mean, it's a small town. It was like a shitty golf course, so
They
you
care.
know,
They care
we
about
did what we did.
mowing the greens differently than the rest. They're doing something right. you
yeah.
know?
So that summer was just all about music. I had Madonna just dropped a new album, which I loved. And I had some Kanye West going. And I had Black Eyed Peas and Coldplay Viva La Vida came out that year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're, when new stuff comes out, like, how would it make its way to you, or how would you learn about it? I mean,
A lot of it was one, finding like the app to get it from. So it was like Napster or LimeWire,
Sure.
however to get it. And then I feel like iTunes was recent at that point.
okay. Have you never owned an Android?
I did.
Okay, okay.
Once Apple came out, I kind of switched. It was probably in 07. It was
Okay.
like right away. It was probably their second generation.
Sure,
I jumped
sure.
on iPhone. But I still had an iPod.
Okay.
Separate from my phone, and like through college.
I guess that's really 07, 08 is also kind of like MySpace is finally like kind of
And I never jumped on MySpace.
Right.
Facebook came out right when I started college, and I started a profile.
Yeah.
But really, Kevin was kind of like, he fed me new stuff, and everything else was kind of from radio.
Okay.
Because I'm very influenced by radio. I love dancing. I love just like the pop
Sure.
music.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Kyle's not a pop person, but I smile and I dance really excited, so he gets into it. But I'd say I always knew of Coldplay, like their hit songs. And then this was the first one where I had a moment in my life where I could listen to an album of theirs.
Are you talking about the title track?
Of Viva La Vida.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like that was my first like experience really learning Coldplay from an album perspective.
Okay,
And
yeah,
not just
yeah.
from a hits perspective. Because, like Fix You and Yellow and all those things were big like radio songs. But a lot of their previous albums were never played on the radio. So I wasn't as familiar with them. But I liked them. So I downloaded their new Viva La Vida. And that was just like a moment in my life where I could dedicate an hour of time to, like, with no interruption, listen to an album.
Sure.
And so that's where I felt like Coldplay now is such a big band to my life, but that album introduced me to learning about their previous albums.
Nice.
Outside of, what were the
hits. Yeah.
And now I would say my favorites aren't even hits
Right,
at all.
of course.
My favorite track on this album was Death and All His Friends.
Yeah.
And there's a very specific moment, if you want me to elaborate.
Please.
And that's why I feel like I talked with Kyle a lot about what my favorite album is. And I don't know that necessarily this is my favorite album of all time, but it was such a pivotal moment in my life that it meant a lot to me to bring it up. But so when I was a greenskeeper and I would listen and I would go back and forth on what I'm listening to, and that specific day, this was my album of choice and I just had it on repeat. And my task for the day was this tiny golf course had like hand carved greens maps. Like each hole had a map
Like
that
by
was like
the tee
hand
box?
carved out. Here's a tee, here's the yardage. And they were all faded. So I was like, I'm gonna paint these.
I'm sure the person that carved those was like, I hope someday somebody's like, here's the paint, here's the paint. In that voice, exactly.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy some paint and I'm going to refresh them. So I was just spending all day just fucking painting these like wooden carved green maps.
I love it.
And this sounds so fabricated, but it is the God honest truth. That summer, I was struggling with my high school relationship where I was growing in a different direction from this guy.
The one that spilled into college and is long distance.
Yeah. And
but it's not Kevin.
It's not Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin was always just my best friend.
Gotcha.
Introduced me to music. This is a separate guy. I've known him since I moved to Kansas. He's still relevant in my life.
Okay.
But we were together for about 3 years, and there was a moment where I was just like growing apart. We had different things, but I was stuck in this, oh, I see my life with him, and I'm going to live in Larned forever, and I'm just going to be who fucking knows what I would do in Larned? Jesus Christ, this was a terrible direction.
Paint golf sign maps.
Yeah, I want to be a greenskeeper my whole life. But it was just like, you're in that young love stage.
Yeah, man.
And
also kind of just you finish high school, you go to college, you get a job, you meet a person, you have a family, you buy a house. It was
just like a fantasy of, oh, my high school sweetheart, I'm going to be with him forever. And obviously there was like, we were just going in different directions, and I had tons of people feeding me all these lies, and he would tell me
oh no.
People would tell me the truth, and he would feed me all these things.
No.
And I was in this weird position where I just didn't know what to do. And I had this, thank God, I had this job that year where I could be in my own head with my own voice and hear music.
And your music,
and
grounding. I imagine it was.
I mean, I swear to God, this moment changed my entire life. That I think it was whole.
Can't believe you asked me if I wanted to hear the story. Fuck yeah!
I know which hole. I haven't played this golf course. It's a 9-hole golf course. I haven't played it for years, but I want to say it was like, let's see, 7. 6, I think it was hole 5 on the green, or on the driver's box, and I was painting it, and Death and all of his friends came on. And have you listened to that song?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very instrumental, and it has a huge build up. And I'm painting it, and I'd never like really paid attention to that song much on the album because there wasn't a lot to sing to,
And it's last. You're almost an hour deep.
Like, in my head painting, and I swear to God, I'm just like feeling all these feelings, and I'm feeling like this momentum build up. And as I'm painting on this, I see a caterpillar just inching up the side, and it's in this instrumental buildup where there's like all these changes in the tempo and everything, and I'm just like started feeling these feelings, and then literally the lyrics is like, I don't want to follow Death and all of his friends. I don't want to follow the path of what everyone else is doing. I need to like get off this path and go in my own direction. As this caterpillar's going, and as this musical instrument is just like building and building and building, and then it just has this like climax. And literally that day, I drove there from work, broke up, and never turned back. And my whole fucking life changed.
Whoa.
Never questioned it, never went back.
Now,
I didn't.
How much of that is a script that you wrote last night till 4 in the morning?
No, but that's when you asked what my favorite album was. I'm like, I don't know if this is my favorite album, but this is what changed my life.
I don't always know what the best approach is, right?
Yeah.
Favorite might mean something different, but really what I'm going for is a combo of favorites or pivotal, influential, or it's and instead of or. It's all of the above. But
I swear, like, none of that is fabricated or made
No,
up.
I was just teasing.
No, I know, but it was such I almost tattooed Viva La Vida on my body. I've had a lot of tattoo ideas, and I've never got a tattoo, but I'm really glad I didn't.
Are both of you still tattoo free?
Yes.
Wow.
I always thought I'd have like multiple, like 2 sleeves and leg sleeves and everything by now, but
little little single teardrop?
Couple teardrops. Couple. I know I've killed a few.
Oh my goodness.
That was just such a moment of my life that I was like, I'm done with this chapter. Move on.
I mean, somewhere in there is like a fiction piece about you. All of that happens, but also you scoop up the caterpillar, and then you guys have like 9 years together, and it's all this life changing shit happens for.
I mean, I don't know. I just like listen to that part. It's like 2/3 of the way in. Listen to that and think about watching this little caterpillar crawl up.
So cool.
In a beautiful day of summer on a golf course, like how perfect of a setting is that?
It's storybook, legit.
But then from there, like I became such a huge Coldplay fan, and I wouldn't say I'm like as into it as I was back then, but that introduced me to their previous albums, which I'd say 1 through 4 are my absolute favorites.
And this is number 4 for them, I think,
yes.
right? Yeah.
And now they're on like 9.
9, yep.
And probably less and less as they grow. And I remember hearing about their Viva La Vida album, learning that they're changing their style of music, and
They went away from the producer
rock
that they used for the first 3. And brought in Brian Eno, who's like, that's the guy you go to if you want a different feel for your record to separate it. And then there were other producers, but also intention. They were like, we gotta do something, for whatever reason, we gotta do something different.
Yeah.
And fuck, I mean.
But I will say, it's probably more of a biased thing because, again, that album made me learn my love for their music and go back and really listen to their previous albums in depth and fully, not just their hits. But then that next winter I traveled Europe, and I did a lot of traveling with my iPod. And
cool.
So I listened fully to a lot of their early stuff. And I haven't had those moments in life afterwards when they came out with their other albums to really sit and like resonate.
But you've had it with other folks, other artists.
I have, yeah.
I don't know if you've had it on the album level, but you've definitely had.
I have on the album level in a few. Not Coldplay.
Right.
I think they're great. I can sing every song that they have, but I would not, like, to me that was kind of like I've found my new self and I love them, and now I have new loves, like with me and Kyle. Like, me and him have a lot of shared album loves, and it's not on that same.
I mean, it could be that they
level.
just like uploaded the file called New Loves. Like, there's a whole other thing out there that you might find like 47 different New Loves.
Yeah.
But you gotta go look for them. Or maybe they find you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that they are, being the elder statesman that I am, they kind of came to be in a huge swath of years where I was just like, oh, I don't know what that is, or I've never heard of him before, or whatever. And then like somebody, asked me, and I went back to painting my own golf sign thing, and then turned around and they were just global phenomenon. Like, I mean, they've sold 100 million records.
I mean,
and here's like somehow, and I didn't write down anybody's name, but the lead vocalist, who also plays an instrument, I feel like his voice became
Chris Martin.
Yes, yeah. Chris Martin. His voice became kind of universally known, with where like I can immediately, I know, but I've never in my life sat down and listened to Coldplay before right now.
Really?
Before getting ready, I swear to God, Scout's on it.
Like, oh, I love Coldplay. Like, is that too generic? But
no. So, but I mean,
that
like,
was a part of my life then, and
I mean, like, more than once, my sister Tiffany, catching up, whatever, and just, I got a flat tire at the grocery store yesterday, and I'm starting a new job, and the Coldplay show is coming up, and it's like, what? Like, you are such a fan of this band that I've never heard of. Seldom is she a concert. Well, that's not true. Compared to me, like if she goes and takes the initiative to go buy tickets to a comedy show or a concert, I'm always like, oh, it really must mean something to you. But I'm pretty sure she's seen him twice, you know, and so it's like this whole phenomenon sort of happens while I'm asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
And then, like, of course I know his voice immediately. And then I when I put this on to listen to for the first time, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to know any of the tracks. And if the lead one, Color...
Life in Technicolor.
Yes, that one. And then the title track, like 2 notes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I cut you off. You were...
No, I've been to 2 of their concerts. I went to the Viva La Vida concert, and it was fucking amazing. One of my good sorority sisters. Okay. She invited me last minute, and I was like, fuck yeah,
had the Caterpillar already happened, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that fall. So it was only a few months later. So, I mean, that's why it was a very pivotal, like, that was a very... It's a memorable chunk of life in those few months.
I mean, I'm going to remember it forever after tonight.
I know it sounds so fabricated.
No, for real.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It was just like a 3-year relationship I ended in 5 seconds and never turned around. Like, that was just, it was so
It was.
That song, literally, if you listen to the lyrics too, it's like, oh, I got carried away. I wanted to get married. No, fuck this. Don't follow death. Like, find your own path and become your own person. I mean that's literally the lyrics.
One could say,
but, you know,
that you having this experience and going directly to terminate this thing that has had was in fact a cold play. These jokes write themselves. I can't, you know.
But I will say they're freaking. The first concert was absolutely unbelievable, and I remember, is it called Lover in Japan? That moment of their concert, they had
/ Rain of Love. Yeah,
they just had these flower petals come from the ceiling, and all their light shows are outstanding. And Chris Martin is such he just engages in the fans, and they have this huge runway that goes way out, like all the way to the end of the stadium, and he's just so engaging, and he plays live piano, and their drummers are just going crazy, and their whole band is so engaged. But one thing I will say, obviously I was very attracted to Chris Martin.
Okay.
He's fucking hot as shit.
Is it? Okay.
I will say, when I met Kyle, I was like, ooh, he kind of looks like Chris Martin. Shit. And this was in 2009, which was like right after all that happened. I was like, ooh, Chris Martin looking like woohoo. So that was a good plus for him. And it's funny because Chris Martin at the time was married to Gwyneth Paltrow. And Kyle always had a celebrity crush on Gwyneth Paltrow.
He did?
Yes. Isn't
Kyle,
that funny?
Come on. Gwyneth? Unless
I look nothing like her, but
unless she's in duets. Did you ever see that with Huey Lewis, where they're the karaoke singers?
No.
They're like father-daughter. I really, really have always loved Huey Lewis.
Okay.
And there's this movie called Duets, and they're both, and they're estranged, and I think that it's been in forever, but they reconnect, and the main track from that soundtrack from that movie is called Cruisin'. Okay. And they sing it together. Oh, it's so. But anyway, if it's not that, she's not that, I don't know, attractive.
Yeah.
If we're talking elite celebrity, like there's a lot of other more. Anyway, that song, I only made a note on a few songs, but there's something about that song that reminded me. You remember a couple of years ago or so when one day we opened up Facebook, and it was like, Blair and Tara, you guys have been friends for 8 years, and it made this video and shows all of your pictures together and the things that were liked the most, and there's like a little jingle to it.
Okay.
And I was like, that sounds like that.
Nice.
Like,
nice.
I know it's not, but
one thing about that song, And this is why I was like trying to look up like musical terms because I should know, but it's like the main, I don't know if it's the bridge or the build up or whatever it is, but there's just this heavy instrumental period where they change like tempos.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
I swear to God, it took me forever to figure out like what the fuck is the tempo going on here. And I would just literally that summer was just a lot of like thinking and questioning and like I remember
Discovery.
literally being in my Volkswagen, laid back, like looking through the moonroof at the stars, listening to this, like trying to figure out the tempo. And when I realized it's like, okay.
Wait a minute. You're driving a Bug that can lay tire tracks and has a moonroof? What year is this thing?
It's a 2001.
Oh, shit. Nice. Okay.
But I remember figuring it out, and to sidetrack, like I was really into band and I almost was my marching band conductor.
Okay.
So I was like really into like conducting.
I could totally see it.
Sometimes when I listen to music, I think of it as a conductor.
Sure.
And so
as long as
every time I hear that fucking song in that one instrumental period, I fucking like conducted.
Nice. Love it.
Anyway, it starts with
I hope you incorporate a peace sign out the window.
Yes. Out the
sorry,
top.
my bad.
But it's so crazy because when I figured it out before. So I was really close with Kevin that summer too. Again, Kevin is like my best friend.
Sure.
You've probably met him. He's come visit a few times, but he's like into music. He just dropped an album and I'm going to send it to you. So,
okay. Do you want to plug his stuff?
Kevin Kendall. He also did a few albums titled Bucky Shorts. He's funny. He's like really into electronic music and he does a lot of producer stuff and he works with some other people.
Does he put his stuff out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just dropped some stuff. He just made an hour-long album that's just electronic music.
Like on Bandcamp or on YouTube? Or?
You can get it on Apple or Spotify.
Okay. Kevin Kendall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, he's such a huge
Shouts
inspiration for my music.
Love.
But that summer we spent a lot of time together, and I remember both of us, like his whole life was music. I loved music, but I also was really into a lot of other extracurricular activities. And so when I figured out what that tempo was before he did, I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucking accomplished. But anyway, it just switches back. Like there's an intro and it's a 1, 2, and then it switches to a 4, and then it goes to
you
3/4,
legit figured it out.
And then it goes to a 4, and then it goes to 3/4. So it, like every time I'm in the car, I'm like, yeah, I fucking know this, Kevin. You don't know it, but I know it.
Are you guys not rolling right now? Get footage of this shit.
Yeah. Anyway, listen to that song and think about the caterpillar. And really,
for sure.
Like feel that instrumental climax.
Yeah.
Because it is so wonderful. It's life-changing.
So the creative change in the creative process, I came across a line that is referred to a series of doors. And so your boy would have an idea for a song and take it to the guitar player, I believe. And the guitar player says, here's what I don't like. Here's my creative input, kind of both sides of it. Mm-hmm. And then they take it to the next band member, and it would, for whatever reason, the drummer would be last. Mm-hmm. But I think this was a thing that they were employing, kind of like, a little seedling, and here's some sunlight, and here's some water, and here's some, fertilizer, and here's some TLC, and eventually, we have a song, and then do it again. I mean, I love the idea of that.
One thing I do love, I love that, like, obviously, like, the lead singer, Chris Martin, gets a lot of, like, the front band, the front guy, whatever. But I do feel like that as a band where everybody is so in sync in their music development, like from start to finish. And actually there's an Amazon original video, like documenting them from the very beginning.
Really?
It's outstanding.
What's it called?
I don't know.
Okay.
Coldplay. But it was one of their first Amazon original documentaries. Okay. And me and Kyle watched it, and we're like, Kyle's a big Coldplay fan too. So it's not like it's coming out of nowhere between when we talk about it. But
right.
He's a big fan when I put it on. I think we're both in agreement. Like, we're not huge fans of their current.
Yeah, but
we're
I mean,
more
your
of their past.
life
But
is different now too for
totally,
you guys.
totally.
You might not be in the same space that you were in.
But I remember watching some videos about their development of Viva La Vida and how they would position themselves in like old. Obviously, they're from London,
Yep.
so they would go to some different like cathedrals and stuff and like play with their vocals, and they would all sing or do some stuff in like a church,
checking out different acoustics.
Yes,
yeah.
And so that was like the pivotal moment where they changed the producers, and then they said, we're not going back, we're going to try to push the limits, and they're bringing in violin, and they're bringing in all these different, orchestra, elements to it, and I love it, but there's just something about just like their old school
sure
guitar stuff. So
there's a ton of artists listed as influences in different ways for them, but maybe the most obvious, Aha, U2, REM, Radiohead, polarizing. It seems that they are so big, but also so very pop mainstream.
Yeah.
Like how can you be?
I think what's crazy is how big they are globally.
Right.
Like they do so many tours through South America. Like I can't, I don't even know. They probably do 10 stops in South America.
Dude, their wiki page has 250 plus references at the bottom.
Yeah.
And dozens and dozens and dozens of stats showing how well track X or album Y did in this year in this country. I mean, if I was looking at them on my phone, I would have been like,
yeah,
Price is Right wheel, trying to get like, holy, how much this? You don't see that.
It's wild. I mean, but they're also so engaging live. Like even my second.
And social media too. They want to be engaged with fans.
Totally.
And it tracks that the runway would go all, because that way more access to people.
Well, and just his like ability to just jump on a piano, and like he shows his real talent.
Right.
He's not just fucking around.
Right.
One thing I remember about the last tour, I was like, it was before I was pregnant with Alma, so it was probably like 5 years ago. 5 years ago. I don't know which album it was for. It might be Ghost Stories or something. But what they did.
I like how you were looking to me for verification on
do you remember
your daughter's age.
Yeah.
Is my
How
second
old is
born
Alma? 5? Okay, but one thing they did that I'd never, and I don't go to a ton of tours, but I'd never experienced this, is when I went through security and I got past security and I gave them my ticket, they gave me a wristband. And I'm like, okay, what's that? And it was just like, okay, just some thing, like looked like an Apple Watch. Not really, it was just like a solid piece.
Right, yeah.
Then all of a sudden when their concert started, they lit up your watch based on the music and the mood, and they basically turned the light show into the audience.
Homegirl did that at her.
Well, I know, but this was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was such an experience.
She gets credit because she's a lot cuter.
I mean, I fucking love Casey Musgraves. So anyway, when we were talking about what our favorite album was, it's like, okay, Coldplay was that moment in that pivotal time. And then I'd say my new discovery of something with Kyle is definitely Casey Musgraves.
And you guys have seen her both times.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, she's a trip.
I love her. And I will say, so it was funny how we discovered her. I think it was right when like Apple Music came out as a subscription thing. Mm-hmm. And me and Kyle just signed up for that because we don't listen to music enough to know, like, should we do Spotify or whatever?
Right.
It's just like, we're already on iTunes or Apple Music, whatever. Sure, sign me up. That's it. And for some reason, it was early in our career and early in Cicada, to where, we had the Grammys on, and I think it was like 2018 or something like that. And we were watching it,
The days before COVID.
Yeah, right. Well, and I always base it on, did I have another baby or just Ivy?
Right. Yeah.
Ivy was my easy life, and then when I had more babies, life became hard. So I'm pretty sure it was right before Alma, so 2018. And so the Grammys came on, and we were just like, fuck it. iTunes or Apple Music is saying, hey, here's the 5 album of the year nominees. Download their music. I'm like, cool. I'll download these 5 albums. And now I listen to all of those 5 albums, one being Golden Hour.
Okay.
Which won the Grammy for Best Album of the Year.
Oh, really?
And I was like, who the fuck is this? And I'll tell you what, she performed with Chris Martin that year on the Grammys from Coldplay.
Oh, funny.
So Coldplay, Chris Martin was playing the piano to her song Rainbow.
He's like, I see.
And so that's why
Casey,
I was
see you stealing our wristband idea.
Yeah.
Quit doing that.
But I mean, I never even thought about that connection.
Right.
But that's probably why I was like, who is this girl? Because my boy Chris Martin is playing the piano
right?
for her. So.
Well, I did back to Coldplay real quick. There seems to be a lot of activism and charity. 10% of proceeds, and something about a bank account that none of them have access to. That all of this stuff goes to, and where it goes from there is lengthy. But I mean.
It doesn't surprise me. I don't know anything about that.
As much as I love it, I wish that it wasn't so profound. It's such a seeming rarity.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are artists that have been doing it just as generously and for just as long. We just don't know about it.
Yeah.
But it would be, again, never walked a mile in their shoes, but you would think that they are probably not hurting, so probably never even realized the money that is gone.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably room for a lot more of that if you're up in the 1% or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, first week of its release, it debuted at #1 in 36 countries. Wow. You talk about that global.
That's the crazy thing. It's not just like in the UK and the United States. It's literally everywhere. I've seen so many different clips of them where people, and to Chris Martin and the band's credit, is they are very engaging in their audience. They've literally brought up people to play piano and collaborate live with them, and I think that is such a fun, engaging. It's also a good social media moment for the band,
right?
You know,
of course,
to, do something, but you're like, I fucking hope this person knows what they're doing, because get up here and play the piano,
right? And even if it doesn't go as amazing as you'd hoped, or if it doesn't wind up being great for the band, like that person, that's you just made their life.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
So it feels impossible to me that your girls will not have a relationship with music.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
the crazy thing is, with the sound, like having the speakers and stuff, it's so easy to put music on that our girls are so used to just like having music in the background. And literally Winnie, like anytime she hears something, she just goes like this. Like she just dances all the time. And it's like, what are you dancing to, girl? It's a commercial or something. Because music is so relevant, to their lives. And we were on a kick for a while, like when we were getting breakfast and stuff ready before school, just to throw on like John Mayer, or throw on something. And the girls just get in a better mood. And we even started everybody pick your favorite song. We're going to make a 5-song playlist.
Ooh.
You got that many songs to clean up, so it kind of makes like a quick,
Oh, I like it.
You want to know what song I picked?
It's fun and useful. What?
I don't know who it's by, but it's I'm Too Sexy for My Show.
Right said Fred.
Yes. And it's the funniest. It
so
makes
sexy,
I remember
it hurts.
doing like fashion shows,
I
as a kid.
I can see it.
But it's, I think we keep music very,
I love it. Have you ever gone so far as to imagine how differently it will look amongst the three of them?
No.
Taste-wise, how they consume it wise, how it affects them?
I think the biggest thing my mother was so good at giving her life to me and my sisters. Of like, she gave up everything.
Sounds like she's prepared you for that statement for many years.
Like, it was so easy when I was younger to be like, I love my dad, mama, and I do love my dad,
Right.
but my mom fucking like gave up everything to be the best mother. And all I say now is I just want to be like my mom.
Right.
I mean, literally the other day is like, you're just slowly turning into Lori Farley. And I'm like, you know what?
I think you said
I'm
that to
good
me.
with that.
Yeah.
Because I love her. But she just like quit her career, raised us girls, did everything for my dad to do his own company, like did all the hard shit. You know, it's kind of like Kyle. Kyle can build shit, but you can't just run a company out of nowhere. Someone has to fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's what I did for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I still contribute a lot more than just the back end stuff, but my mom raised all of us, you know, gave up everything to follow my dad's career her whole life. But she also showed up to every event that we ever did. She showed up and took all 4 kids to so many different actions. Like, talking about managing your kids on the weekends and at night. Having 4 fucking daughters within 8 years of life.
All right.
Oh my God, dance. I was in everything. I was in dance. I was in ballet, tap. I did violin. I was in an orchestra. I mean, in 3rd grade, I was in the city orchestra. I played trombone. I played violin all at once.
You weren't conducting?
No, I wasn't conducting yet. No. But it was just like I was so introduced to all these things, and I feel so sad because, you know, I'm so glad the way my life has worked out, but we had Ivy a little bit younger than when we were planning to, you know, have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do feel sad that she's like in this moment where me and Kyle are just so consumed with trying to get our business off the ground that maybe early in the early stages, she's missed out on a few things, but I don't feel like enough to like notice, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I mean, also maybe she's fine with if she went to all the things for all 4 of you, maybe she's fine with missing out on a thing or two.
She's okay.
Right.
Because I always asked, and she was never mad about it.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to push it because I don't have fucking time to do it. But like band is coming up, and I played piano all growing up, and we tried piano. She had no interest. And so I'm like, oh, I feel like I learned so much from learning music. And even if I couldn't read music, like it's just the feeling and the, you know, the power of like learning an instrument and how it works. Well,
I think that we've seen, I can't identify anything specific, but I think we've seen or heard or been told about studies over the years where like, you know, just having music on can kind of unlock compartments that might otherwise go dormant, for lack of a better word, in your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, if they say you're only using 10% of it, like that kind of tracks.
Well, I felt like a win when just a few weeks ago, like Ivy's go-to request is the Casey Musgraves Essentials playlist on Apple Music.
Of course.
So I'm like, sweet.
That's
okay,
what we used to
honey.
prepare for the concert, me and the
Nice.
kids. Yeah.
Nice.
I was thinking about your parents and Kyle's parents and my parents and Anna's parents while getting ready for this. And the conclusion that I arrived at was, there's probably, if you could use a device to measure love, like the love from Kyle's parents seeing him born and your parents seeing you born and so on with me and it, like probably is equal to the love that we have had when we see our children come into the world for the first time. But I mean, 1974 versus 2010, like I feel like it's impossible to you can't overlook how different. I mean, just even the differences between me and my dad before I even met Anna, let alone before getting married, before getting kids. Like there were some things about him that is just like double clicking. He wanted to do a computers class, and he literally couldn't get past the double click of a mouse to, open up a drop down menu. It like because I think just because typewriters was all, and so everything you push gives you an immediate result.
Yeah.
It's visible, even if it's a
Yeah.
mistake. But having this thing that has all these hundreds of things that you don't even know. I mean, so, technology, of course, is a big one. Global awareness, things going on outside of your own town or your own city or state or region that you're from. I mean, it's just really weird to me to think that like these four different sets of parents have these four different children, and everybody loves their kids equally, but they're so freaking different.
I know.
Because of obviously time, but also, I mean, you could probably have people that were in the same year but different regions, and then by the time you get them together, it's like, oh, wait, what? How did It's just wild. It's one of those. I don't know where you file it in the universe versus the galaxies and infinity versus flat Earth, but it's a file somewhere in one of those schools of thought that is just a mystery.
Well, it's just so crazy how everything from your environment shapes your life.
Right.
But then it depends on the person and how they adapt to that situation.
Or don't. Right.
Because you could take it in so many different ways. So I could have taken the move really poorly and gone in a downward spiral.
Goth Tara.
Yeah.
Who nobody wants to invite to join their sorority, and then no videos are made. And
right, then I wouldn't be so happy. If I didn't listen to Garth Brooks and Kenny G, I would have just been dying inside.
You would be ending your TikToks with "fuck off" instead of "bye."
Well, or it's like if my friend Kevin, who was the weird drummer in middle school, if I didn't look at him as a friend, instead of if I would have just been like, oh, girls, I probably wouldn't be introduced to so many different types of music.
Yeah.
I really do attribute so much of my span of music, eclectic views of everything to him, because he just took the time to like help me get introduced to so many different
He never tried
things.
to get in your pants?
I mean, I think he would have married me if I said yes.
Oh, interesting way of answering that question. Okay, all right.
No, he was always my best friend, and I think it was in my control, but he's respectfully stayed my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, boy's logging some hours.
But you know what? He's very happy in getting married next year.
Oh, cool.
So
Are you guys
I'm invited?
Okay.
Yeah.
With the +1.
Of course. He loves Kyle.
Nice.
No, he's honestly like, I went to prom with him in high school, and I love Kevin with so much of my soul. We were just always really good friends.
That's cool.
So I always told Kyle, I feel like if I met him in high school, we would have just been in the friend zone, though. So I feel like when you meet people, it kind of depends on your phase of life.
Yeah, well, and maybe you're meeting some of those people for a reason.
Yeah, and when I met Kyle, he's such a different person from my previous.
Right.
That honestly, he was the first person that made me feel weird in public, and I'm like, oh my god, is this how I make people feel when I'm being like?
What do you mean?
I don't know, like when I'm not afraid of what people think.
Mm-hmm.
So when I would, dance weird and make people feel funny,
Tara?
It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Quit embarrassing me, but I'm just like, fuck that, woohoo, but he's the first male that that I liked that made me feel that way, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe he's on my level. Okay, we could fucking conquer the world together, and now look at us. Just so being awesome. Fucking weird people together.
What do you, 2032. What is the Davis family household? 10 years. 10 years from now. Obviously you still have, probably 2 still under your roof, but a lot of time has passed.
We talk about like where we're at in our home so much, and one, I I hope it was all fucking worth it. All that we've been through the last, 5. Actually, the last 10. I was explaining to one of our employees just, the career path me and Kyle have taken. And looking back on it, we're so fucking gutsy. We're so ballsy that every step we have followed what we know we're good at and when we're in a bad situation. And I don't think me and Kyle have ever been both paid by a company besides Cicada, which is what we own.
Yeah, right.
And it's just because I feel like Kyle is so talented and misunderstood by employers that he needed to thrive on his own to show his
misunderstood.
He was employed by a lot of people who just didn't realize his talents.
I look at him and I see a collection of skill sets.
Exactly.
And
there are so many people.
He can see a thing and be like, nope, that needs a da-da-da.
There are so many people who either were threatened by it or did not see how much he could bring to the table.
I see.
And they didn't prioritize his talents in their hierarchy. And I could see it always from the beginning. And that's why I was always so supportive of him following what he knew he was really good at. And then our move to Kansas City was following him. I left a really good job.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I struggled for a long time because people couldn't see my talents. And it took me a long time to get back to where I left, Because I feel like I was getting on a very successful track really early in my career. And then we moved and nobody knew who the fuck I was and what I could do. So we were both on very different planes.
Sure.
And then I think from the moment we met, we knew we would be so successful together, and we just never had a question. We just always said, when the time is right, we'll do it.
So continued belief in knowing your strengths and your skill sets and having an awareness to when stuff feels off will continue to set you guys in a good direction,
so.
Right?
I mean, I hope that in a year we'll soon learn it will all be worth it.
But I mean,
it's still going to be a challenge.
You really don't have the answer to that question right now today?
I mean, it is, because if we would be doing anything for somebody else, it'd be the same shit.
Well, I mean, also, if it ended tomorrow, if somebody just pulled the plug and all of it, it all is falling into the cracks and nobody's going to be bothering. It's just over. But you just got to return to the workforce. I mean, I know that's not what you want, but if for some whatever weird reason that happens, you guys will be fine. And you would probably, once you get a little space down the road from it, look back and be like, there's so many things that we learned from that experience that.
Absolutely.
So continued growth, health, happiness.
Yeah,
all that
I mean,
stuff.
we're constantly trying to tweak what we're really good at. I think there's a lot of opportunity to take the easy road in our career, and we just refuse to do so. And we could probably have 100 projects under our belt if we wanted to. But we just strive to make things extremely difficult and challenging. We just have to wait for the perfect fucking opportunity and the perfect job. Or we just make things so difficult and unique and complex that we just can't do a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Now,
I would rather do 5 jobs a year that are really crazy and expensive and unique than 100 average.
Right.
So I'm always going to try to do that.
Your 100 average, how many other folks are doing 100 average jobs a year?
I want every job that we touch to be magazine worthy.
I love it. That's a great goal to have. And
I don't want to have fillers,
No. And what's the philosophy? If you don't believe, you got to believe in it for it to happen.
Yeah.
Right. If you stop believing in it, then, I think a lot of the energy and zhuzh and oomph falls out of it. And it just kind of.
I feel like all my inspiration is from the lone wolves or from the very
is that a throwback to your personalized plate?
has been my nickname my
Okay.
whole life.
I forgot to give shouts out to Lori Farley, by the way. We were talking about her giving her life.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lone Wolf.
Well, I guess I'm always attracted to the people who are willing to be like way more crazy, and they're not everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
And it is specific to being out of the box instead of being commercialized for the masses.
Sure.
And I never want to be like, well, I'm sure 90% of the people will love it, but I want to be the 10%. I want to be on the edge.
Right.
You know.
What we've talked a couple times about this, big picture dreamer and this scope, right, that you have. But if you look into that a little, not too deep, a little bit, just a little further down, there's very specific talents that you have, and we've talked about a few of them. Style and fashion and decor and really remarkable attention to detail. I mean, shit, I was impressed by your outfit when I opened the front door, and that's this level example, and then you go to like your floral arrangement for progressive dinner above the light fixture, and there's a bunch of stuff in the middle. Like, where's that come from?
I care, like, my whole thing is if it is good enough to create an experience.
Okay.
Like, for the progressive dinner, for instance, I was just like, you know what? We're just going crazy to give this experience.
Time out real quick.
Yeah.
Because you and I both know that you could put out a killer spread and do nothing else.
Yeah.
Right? It just looks like your average dining room, kitchen, home, the way that looks for the 5 people that live there every day. But you could have impressed a lot of people just with the food.
True.
However,
well,
you were like, we're going all...
Well, so regardless of the progressive dinner, just my whole life, again, comes from my parents loving to entertain. And my whole life growing up has been about family coming over or Christmas experience.
Okay.
Or like every year around Christmas, my parents would host this crazy poker party, and we'd have like 200 people come into this tiny, like fucking tiny farmhouse.
Wow.
And there would be people sleeping all over the floors in the morning. And my dad would play poker with real silver 50-cent pieces.
Oh, damn.
And we would get tipped all night long to bring people beer. We literally made hundreds of dollars as kids in the 90s, like serving the hundreds of people in this tiny little house. And so my parents just always loved people coming over. And I think it comes from my dad has 5 siblings.
Right.
My mom has 4 siblings. We come from huge Catholic families. And even like coming out of high school, I had so many different directions and talents I could go in. I'm not smart. I'm not smart in math. I'm not smart in English. I'm not smart in anything. But I'm street smart.
Sure.
And I'm like, what the fuck do I do? What do I go to college for? Like, should I go on a basketball scholarship? Should I do... I actually had lots of scholarship opportunities for sports and music and all these things. I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. And then when I realized, like, I actually went to school to become an event planner because I could plan
tracks,
parties. I could do these fun things. And then that turned into construction, which is still like an event from start to finish.
A major
but
event.
You're creating an environment. Like, my biggest thing is learning about how somebody is going to use the space. So it's like, I don't give a shit what kind of materials you like. Tell me how you're going to use your kitchen. How many people are you going to have over on a weekend? How many kids do you have? Who's going to be eating in the kitchen? Do you like to have formal dinners? Are you informal? Like, it is all about logistics, and who cares about the finishes? Like, that is the easiest part of it. The logistics is what matters to me the most, and then I can make anything look pretty.
Yeah. Okay.
And so my whole life is just about the experience, whether it's casual or formal. The progressive dinner was a formal thing. It was, how can I just make this a fucking cool, like, fine dining thing. And I made that chandelier. I spent hundreds of dollars on fucking fresh flowers put in the chandelier. It was like, God damn it, why did I spend that much money?
You managed to get a second use out of a lot of them, though, didn't you?
No, they all died the next day.
No, I thought you took them and made like
No.
little. Oh,
They
fuck.
all died.
Damn.
It's fine. It was worth it.
Sure,
it was
sure.
worth it. But like, even just like you coming over for, you know, Sunday for football, I care. Like, the thing is I care. And it's like, I always just also have a problem with just like the abundance. Like, I don't want the plates to be clean when people leave. Like, I don't want people to not think they can eat enough.
Right.
I don't want people to limit the bites
Sure.
that they take.
Sure.
So, and that comes, you know, my parents have done that my whole life.
Right.
So, really, everything I care about is just the interaction of people and how it's going to feel. And I think so much nowadays, people care so much about the aesthetic and they care about the wrong pieces. They
Interesting.
care about the social media moments and how
Oh.
it's going to look when they post it. And I could give a fuck about what an Instagram post looks
It's
like.
nice if you get a little two birds, one stone.
Sure.
Right. But
Of
you
course.
don't frame your vacation around your
Exactly.
Instagram.
It will always be prioritized in the experience and then the aesthetic. If I can make them match, great.
Yeah.
But like, I'm never going to plan something around a picture and then people suffer on the moment. Like, I don't want to ruin a moment for a picture, but I'll
Right,
take a
right.
picture in a good moment.
Right.
If
right.
that makes sense.
Not a
Yeah.
finer line you can walk.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
And I just feel like so many people younger than me, it's all about the aesthetic and less about the moment, and they'll suffer the moment for the picture.
Yeah.
And then it looks good in the past, but what about the present?
No,
The
you
present
probably-
wasn't fun.
you probably upset
because
a couple
we all had to
folks.
fucking sit there and watch you take pictures,
Yeah.
and we couldn't eat the food.
Yeah.
You know, so-
Everybody's got ring light eyeballs. And
Yeah, I made my first TikTok. I'm like, I can't wear these goddamn glasses because you can see the fucking ring light. That looks so stupid.
Oh, this has been a lot of fun.
I'm sorry, I just talk so
Oh
much.
no. I wonder. Tomorrow, you guys are fresh, empty nesters. Your youngest is off to college, and obviously the older two are doing their thing. Everybody's happy and healthy, and whatever turn of events has made it so money's no object. The company is, before this, already doing really well. You've got people that want you to sell it to them, but you guys are now in a situation where you could give all the Farleys and all the Davises money for themselves and all of their kids and their kids' kids. What does life look like for the two of you, for you and Kyle, as new empty nesters that literally no longer have any sort of financial concern? Where are your sources of joy and happiness? How are you spending your time?
I'm probably going to do anything I can to get my kids and their friends to come back to my house. It's like, as much as I want them out,
Right.
I want them in.
Right.
I've always even said I feel like I'm better prepared as a parent for older kids than younger kids. Like, I love the snuggles and I love all of that, but Kyle is so much more patient than I am, and I'm kind of more of I want to talk straight to you, and then I want to enjoy you.
You don't get
know?
a cup. That's what the fountain's for.
Right. I don't want to give you a fucking water cup. I put a fountain in this goddamn house, put a stool up, and drink from there. You know, I mean, I love little kids. Okay, let me rephrase. I love my own kids. I'm not a
important
kid
difference,
lover.
right,
I mean,
yeah.
it's true. It's like, I'm not going to coddle your kids and like be like, oh my God, I love you.
Right.
Like, I'll tolerate you.
Right.
But I do feel like I can connect more on an older stage of children. Like, I've been looking at Ivy lately being like, oh my God, you're hitting that mark.
She's
And-
like doing. She's somewhere in between speed walking and sort of hitting that
Yeah.
marathon stride, where
Yeah.
like I think you guys. It's obviously still going to be Ivy, but
Right.
You're going to be like, oh,
I
fucking
know.
changes. I can't keep up with them.
I've always thought of her and Alma sharing a room, and she crawled out of her bunk bed and was going down the stairs. I'm like, holy fucking shit, you are huge. Why am I even considering you being attached to your 5-year younger sibling? Why am I not trying to give you your own room? You're about ready to start having slumber parties.
Right.
You're going to be in middle school. Like, you are becoming a tween in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
And Alma is still lisping and sucking on a blanket. I still connect them, but I can't. It really hit me only like 2 weeks ago.
I mean,
and I looked at Kyle and I was like,
you never see it coming.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like,
I was like, she's tall. She's playing volleyball. She's getting into these activities.
she has kind of sprouted here
She
in
has,
recent months.
and I feel like just in this next year, she's about to become like a whole new human, and I'm not ready for it, but I'm
you'll be fine.
excited.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I want to be the house that people are comfortable in, and I think that's even when our kids are out, like. Talking about the music videos we made when we were in college, coming home, and instead of drinking, we were fucking making stupid music videos with my parents. Like, that's what I want to happen in my home.
I think we maybe danced around the idea of there being one or two other significant records for you. We touched briefly on Casey Musgraves, but was there one or two others you wanted to?
It's funny because they're kind of like lumped back from when those top 5, because it was like, oh, let me listen to these albums. I would say another very important album that I go to in a moment that I need like good lyrics is Brandi Carlile.
Okay.
What's it called? What's her album? It's her second. Well, I don't know how many, but it's shit.
It's all right.
I'm gonna look it up because it's so good, and I cry to it. I literally put it on when I was in the shower the other day, and I had it blasting, and I was like, "Are you okay?" But again, it's moments of my life, and her big song, what's it called? Of course, I should know about it if I'm talking about it.
Well.
By the Way, I Forgive You is her album from 2018. And the Joke is the song that it was a huge moment in me and Kyle's like career where we definitely took on a big project that we were learning along the way. And I felt like
trying to keep the learning mum a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, and just trying to fucking not get sued and not like die,
Yeah.
And I remember listening to this on the way to a job site meeting, just bawling. Like, it was basically keep your fucking head above water. Don't listen to other people. Like, you can do it.
Nice.
That album, I love every goddamn song, is absolutely beautiful. It was up for album of the year with Casey Musgraves.
Okay, and she lost to her.
That's the only reason why I listened to it.
Oh, yes.
I do.
The top 5 that Apple said, here's the ones.
Yeah, so I downloaded them all. I will say I knew her before her previous album. I think it was The Story, and it was a couple hit songs that I had paid attention to, but specifically on this album, The Joke, I Cry. Her first song, every time I hear that song, is beautiful. Another one is called The Mother, and it talks about her becoming a mother and how much she had to give up of her life to become a mother, and that she gets to relive.
Does she give shouts out to Lori Farley in there?
She should.
I mean, come on.
Come on,
the
Brandy. Lyrics in that one is talking about how she gets to relive her life through her child's eyes.
Cool.
And that is really fun. She's talking about how I get to see all the monuments I've seen, but through your eyes.
Right.
And I might not get to, stay up and drink wine, but I get to hear your giggle. I get to hear, I get to be a part of your life. And when I'm alone and in the right mood, I fucking bawl to that song. Another one that I love from that album is called Fulton County Jane Doe. And it's talking about just like she is a very big activist, and she wants to make sure that people are heard no matter what your background is. And so basically, if you're like stuck in a prison and all you're known for is your name, but people in the prison call you Jane because they don't know your name or your background. And she's like, even though you're known as Fulton County Jane, like you were somebody's baby, you were somebody's person,
for sure.
And so I love that.
Nice.
So that is a really great album. You should listen to it.
So we got Coldplay, Casey, Brandy,
Brandy Carlisle,
Britney
Spears. I was actually going through like what songs did I buy, because before Apple was like a subscription, you had to buy. I used to buy a lot of albums,
like 99 cents a track.
No, like I would actually buy the full album.
Oh yeah, for $10 or whatever.
Yes, before. So I was kind of peeking through. I was
is there a purchased tab?
Yeah.
Still? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even though it doesn't mean anything nowadays. Yeah. But I loved Prince.
Oh,
Prince was actually, like, I remember in high school I would do okay. I don't know how familiar. Are you familiar? Like, did you watch Cartoon Network ever?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know Space Ghost or Brack from Cartoon Network? It was like late night.
Space Ghost. Is that Space Ghost? Like
and then there was like Brack that would just make a bunch of stupid songs. I'm not even gonna get into it. It's stupid but funny. Anyway, I would learn all these dumb lyrics and make music videos when I was in middle school too.
Nice.
Another big band I was into is Mumford and Sons. So I was really sad that they broke up.
Did they?
Yeah.
Is that why I see his name by itself?
So now he's on his own. I think there was a band member. They just didn't connect anymore, and so they parted ways. But I went to one of their concerts, and they were great.
I'm sure.
Absolutely fantastic.
They were. I mean, that's my one. I think it's my one and only Grammy viewing experience was when Bob Dylan had the guy that was on stage with the soy bomb shirt, and then Mumford and Sons. That was the next day. The internet was like exploding with. They already had like one of those little, not Tiny Desk concert, but like they filmed 3 or 4 tracks in black and white in a coffee shop, and somebody. I was like, that was the guys. I think I'm getting the story right, but I definitely followed that link and was like, oh my God, this is, and they blew up, and I was like, yeah.
They're kind of like Coldplay, where they were very like in a difference. Coldplay is very rock, they're very folky, but they kind of like transitioned into like more electrical and like poppy. Yeah. Honestly, I did love their Delta album. I wasn't as big of a fan of, but their what was the album?
The first one?
Their third album.
Okay.
Was at a time when I had a desk job that I could listen to full albums,
nice.
And I loved it. And that was actually the concert we went to.
Okay. I got to find that one.
Let me look up what it's called, because it's really good. Mumford. Okay, one other that I want to... Oh, it's called Wilder Mind.
Okay.
Wilder Mind.
Right.
Another one of my favorite albums is Incubus, but The Morning View.
Okay.
That was a high school album I was obsessed with.
That's like smart nerd rock. I mean,
love that album. I don't really like Incubus in any other album.
Oh, okay.
Just that one.
Interesting.
Yeah. That one.
What was the name of it?
Morning View.
Love
it. Another high school one that surprisingly I loved was System of the Down.
Whoa, okay.
Toxicity.
Okay.
Their fucking Chop Suey is one of my favorite songs I remember seeing on MTV, and I turned it on with all the kids in the car the other day. I was just like, it was great.
Where were you guys going?
Costco.
I was going to say, tell me you're on your way to Costco. We're bacon wrapped jalapenos and caramel apples and who knows whatever else.
Oh, but Chop Suey is like my favorite song ever.
Nice.
I saw a TikTok the other day about that song and one of the producers on it, and apparently like they could not figure out the bridge lyrics. They knew like instrumentally what they wanted to do, and they couldn't figure out any lyrics, and one of the producers was like, okay, pick a book. And he picked a book, and they just found, like, verses in a book and just copied them
Love
down.
it. I love that.
It was great. And it made it, like, a weird spiritual chunk of that song.
Oh, yeah.
And it honestly, like, I kind of fucking love that part of the song. So the fact that it was just, like, random, it's like, I need to put lyrics to it. It just makes
probably,
it even cooler.
it probably is the largest shared experience of the creation of the song, because a lot of times you have a band member like your boy who kind of writes the bones, and then the second guy fleshes it out a little bit. But if everybody's all right, grab a book, write this down, it's a real organic connectedness.
I think personally, I think that that's such a better experience in any situation than if there's just one driver of everything, because that can only go on for so long. But when you have so many minds to something, you just can create something so much more.
Unless you're in a situation where the other members really thrive on having a driver, and that facilitates their best effort. Even if the creative is that they're doing stuff instrumentally and not lyrically, or maybe they add to the live show an element that wouldn't be the same way with them not there.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that's the position in our business right now, where everybody gets what we're looking for and can kind of hear the team pep and the, like, what do I need out of this? I'm kind of like,
that's cool, man.
Where I can
That's
just
very
give
admirable.
very basic concepts and be like, I really want it to feel like this or this or this. You do this, you do this, you do this. And then they use all of their creativity to, like, compile these big things. And then it's like a little bit of editing. And then we're just creating so many cool fucking things with that.
Sounds like.
And I love the fact that I'm not just, like, breathing down everybody's throat. And I'm letting everybody have creativity. Maybe not in full control, but I do feel like they couldn't do it on their own,
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you guys have.
Than I should.
But. Well, but I mean, you've had a significant role in getting this thing to what it is right now. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. Did you tell all your littles good night before you came over?
I did.
Okay, all right.
I just looked at the time. I'm like, sorry, Blair. I told you I like to talk a lot.
Well, I mean, I'm not 100.
Am I pushing on your longest podcast?
No,
oh,
no.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure you've blown your husband away by this point.
That's fine. He was prepared. He knows I can talk forever.
Okay. But nevertheless, I think that we managed to create a comfy temperature down here for you. Yes. I can't feel my toes anymore.
I'm happy. My glasses aren't fogging. Kidding. I'm not sweating. I could keep going for hours.
I do need to feed a puppy and myself.
Yeah.
And probably open another beer and put some energy in the direction of ending
Editing,
the evening.
Yeah.
No, just ending the evening so I can go to bed.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have been in a tougher spot Sunday, knowing as long as I've been aware of Caitlin's Halloween party, and as much as I've been looking forward to doing this, I was like, I can't be mad at that.
I was ready to drive back for this.
Well, I mean, it's so strangely, the first date that we landed on, I think, was the only time, hopefully it doesn't happen again, that I didn't pull the date off of my list that I send to people. And so the person that had that date ended up rescheduling because they picked the first week of school as well. And so you guys were anyway. And so then they were supposed to be tonight. And and I just reached out this morning and I was like, hey, are we? And they're like, nope. I'm like, well, and I haven't even asked him because I think initially we talked about Saturday afternoon, but I am going to ask if they can do Saturday evening. But it's funny that sort of twice you guys have had this wave where you're bumping, and then all of a sudden you're like kind of sort of taking one another's spots. But
well, just to be clear, I was going to drive from Manhattan to Kansas City to film it and go back. I was not going to cancel that.
Come on. That's insane.
I was not.
That's insane.
I feel like we had rescheduled this date like 10 times.
I think it's only
And honestly,
2.
I didn't want to wait till January. I was I was building up this momentum, and I'm like, I'm so fucking nervous. I just need to do it. Like, I need to quit thinking about it and just do it. Because I honestly kept questioning my album because I was making it such a big deal. But I feel like that moment in my life was worth sharing.
I mean, I'm definitely...
And I don't want to make it about that necessarily the previous part of my life, but I just feel like it was such a pivotal moment in every decision moving forward that it was
waiting since the fall of 1994 for the universe to tell me what my first tattoo is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And now I have the answer.
Is it Viva La Vida?
It's a caterpillar
Yay!
climbing up.
Do you not have a tattoo either?
0.
Oh my God.
0.
I feel kind of like cool not having a tattoo.
I, for a short moment, was like dating this server that was like, I mean, she's really tatted up now.
Mm-hmm.
I follow her on Instagram, but she was really tatted up back when we were hanging out. And she came over to my place a bunch, but the one night she took me to her place, we like hung out in the family room with her roommates, and they were all just, I mean, gauges and septums, and like one of them like got up off the couch and was staring at me, seated, rose, still staring, and pivoted and walked directly at me, and only like darted out of the way at the last second to go in the kitchen. And as they darted, I looked down and the shirt said, please remember not to feed the untattooed. And I was like, I looked around and realized it's like, oh my God, everybody here has so much ink and so much jewelry. We ended up, when I wrote a poem about it. We went in her room and I was like, oh, you're a huge slob. Like just shit, trash, clothes everywhere, and a mattress on the floor.
Ugh.
And there were candles everywhere, and she lit all of them.
Oh.
And we had our evening of fun and then fell asleep and woke to her comforter fucking blaze.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, yeah, and I went, ah! And like all this melted plastic fell onto my skin and burned me back. I mean, like, we fucked that room up putting it out because you put out the thing and black speckles. And anyway, I still don't have a tattoo.
Damn.
But I mean,
you need to get a tattoo of a comforter.
No, caterpillar.
Caterpillar.
See,
I think it's better.
Better C word for sure. But thank you, Sarah, so much. Okay, what were you going to say? What were you going to say?
No. It'll just keep going.
Well, seriously appreciate it. I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did in terms of Kyle sort of having to break in,
he's such a good dad.
Take
he can
one,
handle anything.
But I mean, he came and did one and sort of sent the here. Okay, here's what doing that looks like, and so then you could kind of come and hopefully not be too anxious and be chill a little bit. And
no, I'm good. I mean, I could talk for another 3 hours, so it's probably best that you shut me down now.
I would love to go on too, but we do have to figure out food and bedtimes, and
also nobody would listen to a 6-hour podcast. So
my boss was 5. But we ended up talking for like 45 minutes before, and it was a lot of like talking about Indian princess and kid stuff, and so I was like, so I cut out 45 minutes, but it was still a 4:15 or something like that. I'll do a 6 one of these days.
Just have me back for part 2. Right. I'll keep going. We could talk about my punk rock phase.
Do you want to throw any of your handles out, or are you good?
Handle, like for social media?
Yeah.
I mean, we never really talked about what it is I do.
Right. We did on Kyle's a little bit.
So go back to episode 20 and you can hear
Kyle
about
Davis.
our business.
We talked 90% Cicada Co. and 10% Radiohead. I mean,
honestly, I was like, don't publicize this because I don't know if people want to hear who work for us want to hear the things you talked about.
well, but it's mostly harmless,
yeah,
right?
It was totally harmless. It was just like going through our experience.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think we flirted with a couple of details that you were like,
It's cool.
Anyway.
It's okay. Yeah, Cicada Co. is our design build business. I think it's constantly growing. You can find us on Instagram at cicada_co. If you want to follow my boring personal page, it's T Farley, and I like to keep that separate just so I'm not like being.
I personally thank you for it.
Yeah.
Whenever I see whatever, I'm not going to get into it.
No,
but
get into it.
No, it's not having all of your platforms connected via Hoots, whatever the things are, is not the same as having your personal and your business. But I like the effort to keep the two distinctly different in both situations. Like, if I follow you on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, I don't want to see the same post in all three places. So
I never post our business on my personal because it's like it's separate.
Yeah.
So
it's all easy to create. So be different, different content.
It's like a weird place because I want to be able to be more creative and influential or whatever, but it's not the right platform on Cicada.
Right.
But I'm also like, I don't know.
Now,
I don't know what to do.
Do you have two talks? Do you have a Cicada?
I've been thinking about separating it.
You just have Cicada right now?
I just have Cicada.
Okay.
And I kind of want to separate it because I don't want me personally to affect Cicada.
I think that you absolutely should.
You think so?
I have two. And really, my personal one is only stuff that Adeline's made.
Dumb shit that I want to do that I'm like, I can't be a representative of Cicada if I do this.
I want to see the dumb shit.
I want to do the dumb shit, and TikTok is the perfect place to do the dumb shit.
I also want to see. I've been just a skosh disappointed that I haven't seen any more of the Day in the Life.
Honestly, it's just time. Like, it takes time and effort.
Dude, the one with the Ozark, I was like, you were working on that all day.
I know. I mean, but it's like,
but it's a good post.
And that's like the point in our business where I'm like, Kyle, fucking handle the day-to-day because I want to do the TikToks.
I gotta curate, Kyle.
I want to fucking make the fun things. Don't make me do this bullshit.
And here we are back to needing to have a clone of you that can now wear several of your hats.
If I could hire a content creator to just like film, if someone could film me in action, there'd be so much content. But the fact that I would have to like do it, and then I feel weird. I'm like, hey, can you like take a video of me talking to this person? It feels weird. But if someone just knew that they're supposed to do that, so much fucking content.
I mean,
I talk to so many people every single day. Literally, my life is telling people what to do with their life, and I love it. Like, if you just tell me how to live your life, I will tell you. Well, don't tell me how to live. I will tell you exactly what to do, and you will be happy. Listen to me. I will tell everybody.
So I think that would be really, really amazing. You're also right. There would be a ton of content. And because things are the way they are, I think it's probably for the better that there isn't a person yet. Like, can you imagine if like you had a content creator with you since like somehow you made it part of the budget from day one? And just now there's been 4 years of somebody always filming you.
We would be famous reality show.
You would
people,
probably
though.
be an impossible person to be around in real life, though. Like for like your neighbor or whatever, be like, you'd have every once in a while you'd have people be like, Tara, we're not making content right now. This is real. And you have to turn that switch. I think
that's always been a thing that I've been cognizant of. Like it's just like the environment, like making the environment more important than the aesthetic.
There you go.
I never want to change anything for content.
Right.
And that's why I love TikTok so much, because it's like Instagram is so much about the aesthetic, and that's like, fuck you. Life isn't that way. It's not that way. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know you're trying to wrap this up.
No, it's fine. It's clunky and
Instagram
awkward.
Annoys me to death because
It serves a purpose.
Instagram has got us 99% of our business, which I never thought in the world. People would hire us for $1 million jobs off of Instagram. Never thought that would happen.
Good on you for doing it.
Love it. But I love TikTok because it's so raw.
Yes.
And it's unedited. And it's like the people who try too hard suck. Nobody fucking wants celebrities. Nobody wants like people who've made it on TikTok. They want the raw shit to come out. And that's why I love it.
There's plenty of fanboys and fangirls that want to see their favorite.
Obviously. But like anytime, like I remember seeing Justin Timberlake pop up and everybody in the comments was like, fuck you, get off of here. It's like, I like Justin Timberlake, but yeah, I don't want to see you on TikTok. I don't give a fuck what you say on here.
I mean, go listen to Coldplay, check out Cicada Co., and most importantly, fuck you, Justin Timberlake.
No, don't say that.
No,
I do like
I'm kidding.
him.
I do too. It's a joke. Although have you seen the girls the last couple days doing this on the talk, where the verbiage says, if you think,
is it like the sign of help me thing?
No,
okay.
I don't think so. If you think,
weird, I correlated that to Justin Timberlake. Sorry.
If you think, God, who's just been in the news? Oh, it's not. What's his name? The guy, the celebrity that you were, Army Hammer. It's not Army Hammer. It's somebody, another male that's just very recently been in like big trouble for doing something, and it's dumb that I can't think of it right now. But the content is, if you think such and such, the story on such and such was bad, wait until you hear about, and she moves 2 fingers apart and the letter J appears, and then she moves a different 2 fingers apart and the letter T appears. And I was like, is there a slew of bitches out there that have terrible dirt on JT? Like that would be devastating, I think. I mean, because we think he's pretty wholesome and fun and homies with Jimmy Fallon and used to be in a boy band and married to
Jessica Biel.
Right.
But he also was, had a co-star he was having a fling with that got caught on social media and all these things. So,
I mean,
there's lots of things.
Yeah. Lots of
Again,
things.
we could just keep going for hours, so I won't keep you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. I really appreciate it. This was really fun.
This was fun. It wasn't as scary as I thought.
Well,
I was nervous about my music education, but I can't.
Were you like Googling music terms?
What is the count of a measure?
Boy.
How do I explain that musical chunk of the Coldplay
Little
song?
did you know that you would be saying, are we going to talk about music after this break? Bye, Tara.
All right, bye-bye. Oh, fun.